Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. But I get the impression that we are not live on their sound.
Yeah, I think so too. I can hear both of you though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, we were just muted.
We were on mute here.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, but I don't know already what I'm
I
doing.
figured you were talking about us.
Oh, it's already happening.
I would have made, but it's not working, but later it was. I looked upstairs. It's fine.
Are we on YouTube tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
We are? Yes.
Yes.
Right now?
Should be. Kelsey, are we on YouTube?
Yeah, Kelsey, let me know if we're on YouTube. Or Sarah.
It usually says YouTube at the top, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's.
Oh.
Nothing, you're good. That one, it didn't show up as much line as I wanted to, but.
We're good? Okay, we're good, Dave.
Yeah,
Right. So no Casey.
He said he'd.
Heard from Ken.
I've not heard from Ken.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Call to order the city council work session of November 6th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison,
Here.
Tom Baylor,
Here.
Kathy Sherman,
Here.
Casey Kinsman is absent, Wendy Rainey,
Here.
Dave Zastro,
Here.
Kristen Smith,
Here.
and Ken Jones is absent. That's Cordova Council.
Okay, thank you. Our work session topic tonight is a 2025 proposed general fund budget. And enterprise fund budget, so Sam, you wanna start us out with the general fund?
Sure. Okay, so at the last meeting, we all asked for a clean version. And with the updates that were included, and that we're gonna come back with some ideas, I have some of my own ideas. But I would like to hear what you guys came up with. Or if you have any questions. I won't touch my microphone.
I've got a question on FTEs. Thank you. Actually, that was really helpful. Everything you did provided that. On the FTE sheet, you're showing obviously different program areas and what FTEs are represented there. Just want some clarification on these are currently filled positions, all these FTEs, or what the org structure is?
It is currently filled.
Currently filled.
So this does not have vacant positions.
Oh, not true.
Yeah,
I'm
there
sorry.
It does.
Yes,
It does.
It's so funded.
vacant current positions. Not, there's a couple of positions that we've discussed about adding, like, that's even in there. It's everything that's included in the budget, including the finance director at 8 months. Does that clarify?
Somewhat.
It does
Everything-
have the
everything in
police
the
officer, it
24.
does have the streets superintendent that we're
Right,
looking for, it includes all of those.
The rec, clerk.
Yeah, we have
They're all
five
Sorry.
open positions.
Okay. that's
Schools
what I wanted to hear.
operator, public safety officer, rec clerk, street superintendent, intendant. We have a temp fire position. Is also that's in the budget. IT position is in the budget. Finance director, these are all unfilled, but budgeted positions.
And were there any new positions added?
The IT position was
Besides
added.
the IT one,
Wasn't added, it was just changed
It was
from
changed to our-
director to.
but like the FTE
Clerk.
for water, that's always been that number.
Yes.
The FTE for Parks and Rec,
24 and 25.
I won't go.
24 and 25.
always, but
but 24 and 25.
Well, they took out one of the recs off, or. The
that
parks,
was budgeted but never filled. So
but
we
for
took it out the
25,
budget and, yeah.
it is not in 25.
Another kind of just general question, and I don't know if that's something we can even go back and look at this point, but obviously, thank you too for the other item you provided, which is the untouchable. You want to know the starting point is and what you can and can't do. But we had discussed the last work session about the fact that health insurance went up dramatically due to negotiations with the what's it being, and is that not how that?
No, insurance went up. Health insurance went up because we had a lot of claims. I mean, that's how insurance works.
Sure.
So health insurance went up 35% from last year.
Just be plain.
About that.
Might be industry fluctuations
Yeah.
also, but it went up more than what other people are seeing because of the claims that we had in the first.
That was the driving force.
And we do have the opportunity to re-rate, I call it, in March or so, but wouldn't put any money in the bank on it.
Okay, well, thanks for that clarification.
If anybody online wants to throw anything in there, feel free. Again, I might remind council that you're looking for $1.4 million to bridge the gap either through revenues or expense cuts. So if you get serious about it sooner or later.
Kristen's kind of.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I did step away for a minute at the very beginning, and so I apologize if I missed this, but Sam was saying there's $1 million coming from a legislative appropriation, so that's not included in this budget?
No, I
And
did
so,
not That is harbor. It's not, I guess you could call it reimbursement. It's not merit. It's the money we got from the legislature.
Does it have? to
So
go
is it
Yeah.
money that, I mean,
That's
can
right.
can it go into the general fund? Because we've paid for those expenses and this is money that we're recouping, sort of. I mean,
is
that's
going
not
into
working
the
out
general-
timing wise, but
Yeah, Kristen, it is going into the general fund. You can look at it however you want to, but either it's 3.9 million and we, put that million where we want that we gave to the harbor, or 2.9 million and that million goes back to the general fund for that. So however you wanna look at that, it's slated to go to the general fund, to reimburse the general fund for expenses towards the harbor project.
So
can I
this-
ask you, I don't know if somebody has something going on in the background. I don't know if Kathy or Tom, are you guys hearing any background noise?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
I don't know if that's something
We're not
that
hearing
has
anything.
to do with the
Now it's
YouTube
not-
feed
I
or?
can hear it through there.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still
Very
hearing
faint
it?
on it. I
Yeah, it
can't
sounds
tell.
like a news channel or something.
Mhm.
Okay, might be my husband. Um,
Sorry for outing Dixon.
yeah, let me see what I,
Go back in to the general fund.
Well, I guess the discussion or the way that the council needs to decide is that money was applied for and
I can hear this.
will be received for
Yeah.
closing the gap in the contract for the harbor, to close that $3.9 million gap.
Okay.
The general fund did pay for the $3.9 million, but if you wanna use it to reduce the amount coming from the permanent fund to pay for the harbor project, then it has to go into it will go into the general fund, but the idea is that it's repaying what has already been spent. It's a cash flow thing, right?
It's
Yeah.
cash. flow.
It's cash flow.
We're gonna have, an ordinance coming sooner or later, asking to take money out of the permanent fund to reimburse the general fund for monies that they spent towards the harbor, and you want that to be 2.9 million or 3.9 million, and do you wanna take it out of the permanent fund, is another question, so.
Well, it makes more sense to do 2.9 million and just take less out of the permanent fund, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think we should be balancing the budget on a project reimbursement.
Because it's not real, we won't have that money next year.
So the general fund had a reserve amount in it, like an extra that we could live on. And it got shrunk down to next to nothing because we were using it to pay the harbor bills. If we put that 1 million into the general fund, it would just be kind of putting that at a better balance. But it wouldn't be offsetting expenses for 2025.
Right.
It would just be sitting in there to help with cash flow, right?
Which we need.
Yes, we need,
Yes, we do.
So even with that million in there, we still need to look at the shortage of 1.3. For the
Correct. It doesn't
2025
help the
budget.
25 budget at all.
that's how I mean, I guess in the end it's your call, but I mean,
Well, I got 200,600 for you right off the bat.
what's that?
Pull the
Tell
chip
us.
and pull the 80,000 chip and seal we put on there and take the chamber down to 20,000 like every other nonprofit we have on there, and that brings you 126. If you take the chamber down to 20 like we do to the other nonprofits. Then you can sell that building, which is Main Street property,
Sell it or lease it to them.
or lease it to them, but the Hammond City would like to get out of the landlord
Yeah,
business.
And I think that's a discussion when the lease comes. back
And then
in
that
January.
sale is gonna be a cash flow help, because that's Main Street business.
I I don't know if anybody, I'm not sure how you guys wanna do this, like, do you wanna just
Well-
go through some ideas? I mean, I have,
Tell us what you have.
I hear what you have to say, Sam.
well, what I need to know from you guys is what you're willing to do. So my end goal would be to only, not, to only not to. No, I don't want to, I only wanna use positions that aren't filled. As ways, as, obviously, we need some serious cuts out of here. So I only wanna use positions that aren't filled.
Yeah.
So that's your work.
I feel pretty comfortable about, and I don't really know that I wanna have a discussion about every position. Right now, cause I've only had the opportunity to talk to a few people, but I do feel pretty comfortable. With. Out of the 5 that aren't filled that are online. Removing 2 from those. I feel like street superintendents, rec clerk, cause I've had a discussion with Parks and Rec. And the police officer need to stay in our budget. The pool
Those
ops,
three.
yeah, pool ops come out. And then also removing the IT position and the finance director position. Those are very large amounts of money.
Yeah.
So what kind of savings will that provide?
$394.
If you take, it takes everything, cause it takes,
Did you take out the fully loaded?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, so 394,000, in unfilled positions. I also believe that there is some substantial cuts that we can do chip seal. We can cut the travel in half. Except for police and fire because they have required training that they have to do. In 2 codes within public works. The equipment, maintenance, vehicles, parts and repairs, these are agreements that we have to have, you know. Operations management with you, so. Equipment maintenance is always budgeted around $50,000 to $80,000, it kind of depends on the actual year. And it's I think you call it one of your just in case money. Like, and in a few years, we've gone to $80,000, the Volvo engine had to be replaced. The 4-wheel drive went out in the grader, and in other years, we haven't. So we could reduce that in half by $25,000. We could reduce street maintenance and repair by 10. It's at 30 and leave it at 20.
what about snow removal?
I don't, well, again, that's a crapshoot,
Yeah.
so if you guys feel like you're willing to know that the budget could be blown. In snow removal, if we reduce that, because. You just never know. We could also do that, I mean, that's another 140-ish. I mean, I just have some other options that we could reduce by within the budget. But I think the other things that I feel like the city council needs to provide direction on is the other entities. And if we are willing to say the grant matches can come out of the permanent fund. That's $324,000 in grant matches. For Second Street and the roads, sorry, budget.
With all of that, including the chamber, that puts us a little over $1 million.
Yeah, still have some other ideas, but I mean, if we can talk about these other entities, the grant matches, which I understand that you can't. Promise, because you don't know how people are gonna vote, right? But I think if there's some kind of concurrence. And the understanding that if we think it out and put it into the permanent, say it's coming from the permanent fund, we're mandated to meet those matches, so. You know, we'll have to have a discussion if it doesn't pass. And then, you know, y'all know the chamber's 110, I'm only talking cash.
Yeah.
I'm only talking cash, 110, 20 for family resource. We have $25,000 left in the budget for the ski hill, that is the insurance request. and $10,000 in maintenance. And then the other non-entity is the school. We are at the cap at 1 point. And I forgot to look at the number. Again, hanging it at what is in the resolution and budget. I don't know what stuff on. So those are things that I. 1, 2, 7, 3.
Could I ask you to repeat what the grant match, what those 2 projects, could you give that to me again, please?
We got, Second Street, the upgrades to Second Street, and then the White Shed Road project. And that is the last White Shed Road match. Which I think is worth a party.
There's gonna be 1 point something million next year for the Second Street.
Yeah, they're reevaluating the construction costs. We're hoping that'll go down, but it will be a substantial. It'll be $1 million, I would imagine. It was 900,000 before the increases with inflation and just things, so. And we have looked at some reductions. Hard. So. That's where I'm at.
But I'm sorry that I'm not following it quite clearly. You said 324,000 is in this budget for the 2 grant matches?
For this year, fiscal year 25, 324,000.
And then so in 26, you have to come up with another match?
Yes,
Yes.
for approximately right now it's looking at 1.5, but they are looking at some reductions. And we will also be working with some partners to try to get some more cash, but I'm not gonna promise that I'm gonna close that gap.
Yeah.
It'll be a good thing if it happens. It's in the other hand.
Go ahead, Kristen.
I was just gonna ask, and again, maybe I missed this, but in the memo, Sam, you say you'll have an updated number for the Wednesday work session. Is that, did we get that updated sales tax number? Is that why? Because
The last work session, that's a memo. I didn't put a memo in with this work session.
We had, if
oh,
you're
I'm
looking-
sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. I thought there was, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
we did
Sorry.
raise sales tax a lot from the packet. On 10/30, was it 10/30? October 30th, we had a packet with an amount for sales tax, and then at the meeting, council, and we came in with new numbers and we raised it to what it's at today, which is 4.4.
Okay, so is there no was there no packet for today? I thought there was some mention of sending out a new one. I saw that Sam sent out a spreadsheet, but I thought,
Oh, yeah, no, there's a full packet out for today. I sent it Monday, I think. I thought I. Yeah,
yes,
I'll resend to you right now.
thank you, sorry.
In this that we have before us, do you have any additional revenues in there?
I just did, except for what you guys did at the meeting last week, which was like the 100 grand to property tax. The chip seal is in this budget, the finance director is in this budget, I can use in this budget.
And what does the pool operations do to our operations?
Well, it means the director has to do that work, she's got to solve that code, but she's. Anyway, yeah, it just means more workload on other people, but. I'm running out of options.
Okay, well, we discussed possibly charging the school something to use or having it in kind or whatever. I know we're already almost at the max, so anything we did would ultimately reduce their cash
If that's a direction.
contribution. I'm just saying that we've discussed that. So, I was wondering if any of that was in here.
No, I did not add anything other than what was directed at the last meeting.
Okay, for those of you online, there's 25 people here, and I think that their concern is the pool. I think how many are from the Ice Worm swim team? Okay. Yeah, it's probably 10 or 15 maybe from the Ice Worm swim team, which I think we're negotiating with them on some charging them for using the pool, so I think they're just interested in that pool budget, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
so I'm gonna see if we could step back just a minute or two, and I didn't catch everything Sam said, but in revenues, I was gonna suggest, I looking at the numbers and trying to average, I was gonna suggest that we up the public accommodation surtax to 225. And I believe that's an increase. And then also the MAT surtax to 205,000. I think both of those are gonna probably hit those marks. Looking at the averages.
Front page.
So that's an increase
That's
of
on
five
for-
thousand each.
So she wanted to take the mat up to what?
205.
Okay, hang on, I'll pull the page up.
It's
This,
page 1.
it's page 1, revenue, public accommodation surtax. Moving that to 225,000.
okay, so add
And
5,000, yeah,
Okay, and then the MAT surtax, I think that should be 205,000. I know they're small increases, but I kind of think that's where those numbers are going to be in the coming year. And then if Sam, if I understand your idea about not filling the unfilled positions, could you give me the list again of those unfilled positions and then which ones you're choosing not to fill?
So the unfilled positions are pool ops leader, public safety officer, rec clerk, street superintendent, temp fire position, IT position, finance director.
Okay,
I mean, it's, right now, I'm just looking at a few of those. I mean, it all depends on where we end up with the other things, but right now I'm looking at leaving public safety officer, rec clerk, and superintendent, street superintendent in the budget. That means removing IT, finance director, temp fire position, pool ops leader. There's currently unfilled positions,
And you said that was 394?
and that's $394,000, 324.
24?
394,324 and 10 cents.
10 cents.
One it off.
way to go. Thank you, Sam.
It all.
So these, I guess that's where I kind of need to understand, I mean, if the grant matches aren't gonna come out of the permanent fund. It's washed right there.
Yeah.
And then that means we have to move on to other, I still believe, we can do a little more within there. So I think if I can have some parameters, maybe,
Does,
I'll come back.
is anybody on council opposed to taking the 2 street grant matches out of the permanent fund?
No. I think that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody is opposed to that. So there's direction on that, Sam, well, with the exception of
I'm just looking to see if Tom's.
the two.
Yeah.
2 people, Tom, are you okay with taking permanent fund money for the streets matches? This year?
Yeah, this year I would. That would be the 3, am I correct, 324?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, for this year I would.
Okay. So I think that's, you can put that in there.
Yeah, I agree.
I would support that if one of the others that aren't here, we've got 2 people that aren't here, so that may or may not pass, but I would support that. I don't support general operating funds coming out of the permanent fund though, so.
Yep, so these things that we talked about last time, the pool pump, the salt cell, the fire panel. I'm forgetting one thing.
I think there was only one.
There are within this, they're in this budget.
Right.
Yes.
So they're included in a 1.3 deficit, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So,
How does council feel about the fire stuff at the pool? Permanent fund or you gotta do it from the general fund?
What was the total amount again, Sam, for the three things?
and you, that's in facility,
General fund.
it's in facilities. $15,000.
Yeah, I see what you get out. Well, that's the fire panels and the what? The pump, or the fire panels and what else?
No, that's just moving the fire panel
Just is it
Yeah.
15?
from the Kim room to the office.
There were
because-
other things though, what else?
Yeah, in this budget right now are the pool pump,
The pump.
the, is it salt or salt cells
And then we can have.
and moving of the fire alarms. All cool. Oh, and the HVAC. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
We put the HVAC in. That's right. That's why the pool budget.
And how much is the HVAC?
25 grand. That was put in at the last meeting by. council.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'm trying to follow the conversation. Are you suggesting we pull the HVAC from the general fund budget?
She's asking if we should take that money for those 4 items out of the permanent fund. So we pull them from the general fund and put them in, or we can cross them off too. I mean, that's your option too, but
I think that
that was the question, whether it would take it out of the permanent fund. I think I heard Baylor say he's not in favor of that, correct?
What would it make that number? 324?
okay, grant,
324 and another 40.
yeah, so 340.
64.
That doesn't include the HVAC, 367. for the
Okay,
HVAC.
yeah.
Yeah, 36, I knew it was 36 something. Are we not on?
No, you have a chat going.
Oh,
Oh,
my
Kenny
goodness.
Jones says he's here.
Get that chat out of there.
Thank you.
So at the last meeting, the only thing that seemed like was left on the table for the permanent fund was the school grade matches. And then everything else was put back into the general fund.
Well, I guess I'd like us to see where our numbers are at before we do anything with the permanent fund, you know, we've already discussed.
Could you say that again, Dave?
I said, I'd just like to see where our numbers are before we do any more decisions on pulling any more funds from the permanent fund.
Dave?
Yeah.
So he's saying leave it in the general fund budget for now,
For now.
and then we'll decide if we wanna permanent fund pay for it or pull it, or just leave it in there.
We'll pull the chip and seal back out.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can we backtrack again for a minute? So if you don't fill those positions, that's 394,000. What does that make our deficit at that point?
If you take those positions and the grant match out, that's almost 700.
394 and 24 is
7,
718.
18.
I also mentioned that we've looked at a few reductions that come to about 140.
Okay, and those were cutting travel in half. Some of
For the
street,
chips will, cutting travel in half, except for the police and fire departments. Reducing the street maintenance repair budget by $10,000. And also with the understanding that if we reduce the vehicle and parts maintenance, the equipment, that if the loader blows out, we're gonna blow the budget. And we can, certainly come back and have a discussion, but if it's in the middle of snow season, we have to fix it or we're paying a contractor.
Okay, and excuse me too for asking, it's, that you said you put the chip seal in there?
Out. It's in the budget right now, in my.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part
But you-
1.4, yes. is
Okay.
chips.
I'm
Sorry.
not in favor of removing the chip seal from this budget.
Anybody else? Come on, council, you gotta speak up.
Yeah, I would second that on the chip seal. I think that's important maintenance to be done.
I mean, if you guys are gonna hold fast on something like that, can you let me know? And we can talk about these other things and where you might fall now. I'll come back to you with something that pulls these, that'll get us to a better place. I mean, I'm more than willing to do that, but if there's something you are not gonna do, no matter what, I wanna know now, cause
So you're asking about page 23, basically.
Well, can I respond to that? It's hard to, we started this discussion, we still didn't get the answer of what have we worked our way down to deficit? I mean, you threw out some numbers there. I think it totaled 700, or we are deficit 700. With the changes that you're suggesting, and that's the positions that you eliminate, that's the grant match coming out of the permanent fund, and whatever else you did. If we do those things, where are we at? How much are we short?
What was the chip seal?
80.
80?
so we have
That's 60.
You want me to do it? right?
yes,
Okay, with taking out the 4 positions mentioned, ops leader, temp fire position, IT and finance director. Plus removing the equipment maintenance line, the street, or
not
reducing it, sorry. Street maintenance, repair and maintenance line also, travel reduction by half. And remove, chip seals back in, removing grant matches to be moved to the permanent fund. That brings our total of all those things together is 767,574. So our deficit on that page is, why is it 575?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
It's only a deficit total now of 575.
575,000.
Well, I thought it was, okay, I see.
I mean, that is removing the positions that you put in, that's where they're being talked about. And there's 3 other open positions, but they're pretty.
Anybody? I think there's one more position at least that we can eliminate probably. And I think we've got a facilities maintenance person retiring from our facilities, and they've got 3 at Parks and Rec. And one of those could move over here rather than hiring another one. I'm not sure that Parks and Rec needs 3 year-round Parks and Rec maintenance people, but that's not all they do is maintenance. I mean, they do.
Well,
Yeah, but you're
other
already pulling
stuff
a
too.
food position.
But the
I know,
janitor,
but there's, the janitor isn't gonna do operations.
yes, so the position under facility maintenance is janitorial work, it's. Just so everybody's clear on that. It's not a maintenance position, and I think that's a. That's a different job.
Mr. Mayor,
Can't do it.
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
I spoke on it a little bit last time, but I would like to see us raise the sales tax revenue item up to the 4.7 that it was this year. I think that we're gonna fall short this year because of the bad fishing season, and we didn't get our 6 to 7% increase on that first quarter revenue. So I think that's why we're falling short of that estimate. But I think that having a full year at the 7% with the new tax cap and having a better fishing season in 25, I think that we can trust that estimate a little bit more than the 4.4.
I would second that.
That's an additional 300,000.
Well, what does he want to put it at?
775.
Four.
I just want to set it at the same amount as whatever it was last year. I mean, that was based off of I think some sound logic and estimation, but we fell a little short, but I don't think we're going to fall short again.
375,000.
How many?
375 more.
So with that change, we're at a $200,000 deficit. Getting closer.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
So then let's move to page 25. Well, this is my old copy, it might not be different, but the transfers to other entities. And let's talk about that for Sam, and then let's talk about Ski Hill for Sam.
okay, fire away, what do you wanna talk about on there?
Okay, so I'm in agreement with Counselor Rainey to take the chamber's position money down to 20,000, and that will cover chip sealing.
That covers. What?
So reducing them by 90,000.
Correct.
And putting chip seal back in?
Well, the chip seal's still.
The chip seal's in.
Oh, that's right. I
We
forgot
never
to take it
removed
out.
it.
Yeah,
I
chip seal's
took it out.
still in there.
Okay, so 60,000. Okay.
110. So now we're at 110.
We're at 110 that we're missing.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that's a good idea. I don't know if this is the right time to voice opposition to that or not, or
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, I feel like the chip sealing is important. But the chamber does bring a lot to the table as far as bringing in outside dollars to the community and promoting sales tax revenue, which is our largest revenue source. I don't want to see us reduce that too much. We just have a new MOU that is starting to market our Cordova Center. We have seen an uptick in use of the Cordova Center, whether or not it's due to that or if it's due to our staff's work. I don't have enough information to know, but I know that with marketing from my own business experience, that it can take a very long time to grow marketing and to see fruits of marketing labor. And I would hate to pull that Cordova Center marketing that we just gave them last year. Yeah, we want to try to promote Cordova, bring in outside people, bring in business, bring in sales tax revenue. I think that removing that would just be shooting ourselves in the foot when our small business community is struggling and we really can't afford to throw any more roadblocks in their way.
Hey, we need to hear from the rest of you what you feel about the chamber.
And Kathy.
Kathy started it, but
She has her hand.
Yeah, no, Wendy
Right.
started it, not me. Okay, and I agree with you 100%, Ken. I'm just trying to look at what we give for nonprofits, but I'm also willing to suggest we lower this school by $100,000. And that pains me greatly too, but these kind of decisions have to be made, and we have to maybe share or spread out. So maybe we take a little from the school, we take a little from the chamber. There's just things we have to do this year.
Mr. Mayor?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with the conversation Councilman Sherman's having, but so with the last part this year, this has been an ongoing issue, right? We've had a deficit the last few years. It's been balanced by COVID funds. I think I remember speaking up with the last city manager and said, well, don't worry about it. We got other monies coming in, but is it just a 1 year thing or is this our future? Are we where we're at? We've overspent on other things. Things they're more expensive. If that's the case, then we do have to jettison maybe the chamber. We do have to cut some other places. If it's just a 1 year deal we're trying to get through, then it's a different outlook. But I think this is our future, right? We've got we're just gonna have to cut what we're spending and live within our means.
Don't
Mr.
disagree
Mayor?
with you. Yeah, go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Jones about the amount of time it takes for marketing to have an effect. And I do feel like the chamber is working hard to get the word out and to recruit conferences. That was the whole vision for the Cordova Center. And I recognize we have to make cuts. I'm not in support of cutting 90,000. If it can be helped. I do support what Councilmember Sherman said about sharing the burden and cutting a little bit of our school contribution. We don't have great choices right now, so it pains me to say that too. It pains me too to say that. Anyway, just to chime in with some of the things that have been talked about so far. Thank you.
What does CCMC have planned for that 200? I know that they use it for capital last year to move a tank or something, I don't know.
They were not able to use it for that. They had to use it for
Operating.
operating to be able to come in okay. So they have yet to be able to. move
Okay,
it.
so they're using our money for operations.
Well, I guess I should let Hannah say, I do know that they did not move the tank.
Okay,
You know, they are on the thin line. And they already reduced theirs by 100,000.
yeah, I understand that, but if it was just for capital item, we can work that out a different way, but if it's for operations, then I was under the impression when they talked to us that they were good on their operations and that ours was for other items, but
That was the intent. You know, in the beginning, but
Okay.
it's just.
Mayor.
yes,
Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't put the school donation on the same level with the chamber and nonprofit donation. I suggest we take 90,000 from them, that leaves them with the building in kind. And 20,000 puts them at par with the other nonprofits. And, I think it's time for the chamber to stand on its own. Like the other nonprofits in the community do. They do great things. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying the city can't afford $160,000 to the chamber. And I'm not willing to cut the school. And I'm not willing to cut the pool. Got a lot of kids in this town. There's a hell of a lot more kids than there are small businesses right now.
I certainly support the pool of any of the supposed whatever you wanna call it, non-required things that we have to do. I think the pool is required because we got an ocean on one side of us and a lake on the other side, and our kids need to know how to swim, so, I think that's an important thing. There's some other things that I don't necessarily think we need, but I've heard what do we hear? Let's stick with the chamber for a minute. Who is not in favor of cutting 90,000 from the chamber's cash?
I am not in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm not in favor necessarily of it being
Yeah,
that much.
so I don't think that there's a majority in favor of that much,
Mr.
any
Mayor,
lower. Yeah, go ahead.
so how about we take 50,000 from the chamber? And then let's move on to our discussions with either Ski Hill or see if that's enough information for Sam to move forward and maybe make some additional cut. I don't know where we're at, I guess, how close we are to balancing.
Still a couple
Say if we
$100,000 about the chamber.
If you cut it 50,000, we're at a $150,000
Yeah.
deficit.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl.
Does anybody that said no to the 90 okay with the 50?
I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I could live with that.
I'm not in favor of the 50.
Okay, well, to start that, we'll have Sam put that in the next iteration of this budget, and we may need to come back to it. So the ski hill, where is that? What page is that budget on?
It is on 21.
So currently in the budget is already we reduced their maintenance, which is a request, it's not a requirement, it's in the contract. They had asked for 25, they had 20 in the past. We reduced, I shouldn't say I reduced it to 10. We pay all their water, sewer and refuse, we also pay to the water to make snow. We pay for their electricity, the negative that you see is because the meter is for everything up on the hill. And CTC and Cover Valley Wireless pay for their own electricity, and then we have that little shack up there.
So I have a question. So is the water and electric that's used in the snack shack up there, does that come back to this, to the ski hill? That money that's made in the snack shack? Or does that go to a private entity that's using the snack shack?
We haven't received that from the ski hill.
Yeah, there'll
Well,
be,
the city doesn't get that. if you're
No,
asking
but I
me.
mean,
I don't
does
know.
the ski hill profit from the use of that, or does that go to a private entity?
We haven't received all that information yet. We've asked
Oh,
for
I'm
it
sorry.
all times.
Yeah.
they'll be
Mr.
at our
Reggie,
next meeting.
He could not make tonight's meeting, he will be at the next meeting and he'll have a report in there.
Cause I have a problem paying for water and sewer if it's not getting, if the profits from that are not going back into the ski hill. That's why I'm asking.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I'll prep him. I don't think he'll be surprised. So yeah, heating oil. The annual inspection they haven't done for the last, even previous to the last one shown on here. In the contract, it says insurance reimbursement can be requested. It is not a mandatory thing. We also pay year-round, their expenses year-round.
Yeah, there was a time when we didn't pay their insurance and then they added it into the city. So these things that are optional per our contract with them. Insurance, what else did you say?
The insurance and then maintenance, which I've already reduced, but which we're not required to pay. At all, actually in the contract, it talks about how they should be charging it up to be able to do it. You have paid maintenance. I think, I don't remember how long we looked back. And it's just slowly gotten more and more, which there's inflation costs of doing business.
Yeah, your reduction was from 3 years ago, I think, right after that. So we had requested it 3 years ago, I think it was, 3 years ago, that thing. As I remember.
They didn't used to get the pass-throughs either. I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a while. So you're thinking that we could reduce 15,000 from that ski hill budget?
If
If we took out insurance?
See their budget?
you have the option, yes.
Yes,
Yes, if that's what you're asking me.
So, yeah,
I've already reduced what they.
I guess I'm trying to get some words out of council. 'Cause we're still
Well,
not there.
I would look at the 15,000 and the total on the maintenance for 25,000. And my rationale is, look, if we're gonna ask the users of the city pool to chip in more money, it's only fair that the ski hill do the same. And, they are getting some pretty healthy pass-throughs from the telecoms up there. So that's where I would be.
So take the whole maintenance budget out of the,
Yeah, I would take the 10 and the 15 for the insurance.
There's also the annual inspection. Which hasn't been done for multiple years.
And they haven't used it the last several cycles, right?
Yes.
Well, if they haven't used it, then they still got it in their back pocket, so they don't need another one.
Well, we don't pay them out front.
Yeah. They didn't receive it.
But we have a budget, as if they will. I'd say, yeah, the insurance and that, annual inspection, I feel comfortable, reducing that down. Again, it's so hard to know what they need, their needs are, if they have no information about their operation right now.
So what, that puts us at 120.
Yeah, so it'd be another 30 reduction, so,
So which is it, the 15, 5, and 10?
yes,
Yeah.
that's what he's suggesting.
Okay,
So we need to hear, if anybody on council has an objection to that, you'd speak up, otherwise. that's
Mr.
what we're
Mayor.
gonna put for the
Yeah, I
next
would object to that.
Yeah, Councilmember Sherman?
I was just wondering, without insurance, can they operate?
They're mandated to have insurance in the contract.
We don't know, because they don't have the numbers.
We have no numbers.
They used to pay for it themselves, but
Yes, I remember that.
is this in our? The insurance for this, is that in our package, or is there a separate insurance? Okay,
What was the answer to that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
it's separate,
They purchase and we reimburse.
Thank you.
so I heard one objecting to that, any others? Put a star on that one too, Ken, and we'll. Put that in the next iteration. And I'm sure we'll hear from them next time we look at this. Which, are we coming back again next week?
Yes, we have a work session scheduled for every Wednesday until the 4th. So he talked about the meeting on the 20th. I could check in with him if we wanted to have that discussion on next week's.
At minimum, if you can't be here, join us, at least send us some information.
I could ask him. So for next week, what is that? Do we have that on the schedule? I know we do, because we put it in Wednesday.
yeah, the 13th, I don't know, I actually asked Elena today for all of the days next week, I wanted to see when this room was available, so. I don't know if I ever asked her even for the 13th for sure,
Okay.
no. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
I have an idea for a cut that I would like to propose.
okay, fire away.
I'd like to look at reducing the Family Resource Center in half to 10,000. They took a building off the property tax rolls that we were making, $4,000 to $5,000 a year off of, that we no longer will make that revenue off of because it's owned by a nonprofit. So if they can afford a building, then I don't think they need as much support.
What was saying, going from 20 down to 10, is that what you said?
Yeah, Roger.
Anybody disagree with that?
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I disagree.
I disagree with that.
Okay, I think we'll leave it at 20 then for this iteration.
There are needs and wants. We gotta keep that in mind. We have a lot of needs and an awful lot of wants that can't afford to pay for.
Yeah. Do you think we need 3 parks maintenance people? And a maintenance person here, or custodian, whatever you wanna call them,
Are those filled? Those are filled.
Those are filled positions.
but I know they're filled, but you've got the cities is gonna be vacant shortly. And you're either gonna hire a new one or you can move people around.
Yeah, I feel like those are very different positions.
Yeah.
A janitor versus a maintenance position, so, but I'm. And. Yeah, I don't know, those are union positions, I don't know. The rules for them.
Council decides the organizational structure, which includes the number of positions in each department. Whether that's union or non-union, doesn't matter. The union doesn't dictate to us what we do with our staffing. If there's not a position funded for that, then there's not a position funded for that.
Yeah,
So-
but we've stripped Parks and Rec hard, every single budget.
Go back and look at the last 3 years, and how much did you add to the Parks and Rec budget?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
Facilities have to be taken care of, or we don't have the facilities.
go ahead. Sharon.
history has proven that does not work. We have tried that in the past, and I'm not in favor of that. I would be in favor, however, with my calculations, we're down to 125. I say we take 100,000 from the school, and then we let the city manager work through the budget one more time and bring it back to us next week.
I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. Baylor, Jones, here at the table.
Matter to see if returned and have more discussion, but yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, I'm not locked into taking money from the school, but I'll look at the numbers.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm not in support of taking any money from the school. I think that there's a position or two that can be trimmed out of the city's staffing. The main problem why we have a budget deficit in the first place is because our salaries and payroll has gone up every year for the last 5 years and outpaced the revenues, even though the revenues have also gone up. So I think that we need to take it out of where the problem is.
We just took 778 out of that.
That doesn't sound like
Yeah.
there's support to take.
I'm on the fence on that one. I'd have to get more information. I lean towards no, but I am open to it.
Sure, it's the last thing I would like to do as well, absolutely. But the hospital already took $100,000 cut on their own. And the school could make the same sacrifice. We've always come through for them in the end, as much as we possibly can. And that brings us closer. And if we can put it back after the manager goes through the budget, if there's a little bit of wiggle room, if we maybe look at our revenues again, then I say we're close enough to let the manager have this budget and bring it back to us next week.
Well, if you put it that way, I support it.
So you can put that in there then. For the next iteration. Were you thinking of specific positions, Ken, or were you just saying that we're heavy on the salaries and benefits?
Yeah, it's not really. I don't really know the ins and outs of the city and the day-to-day operations like the manager would to know which positions are trimmable. I just know that looking at the line item and what is steadily increasing year after year from an objective standpoint is the salaries and benefits. Every time we get a new union renegotiation, we're hit with another $500,000+ liability. So that's where my position is coming from.
Okay. Does everybody agree with the FTE chart that was given us here? Or want to make any changes to that?
Mr. Manager or Mayor, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm not. I think the manager has already suggested that we don't fill 4 positions. So right there, we got a deficit going, and the increase is, yeah, it's the union contracts, but it's also insurance. That's where the biggest increase is in every single department when you look at it. It's the insurance.
I guess the hope would be that next year insurance won't look the same. We will be shopping. But there's no guarantees.
Yeah, so that work on that, that's, this, some of those things aren't too much under our control. We can shop around and see see if we can find some cheaper insurance, but yeah, I think 51,000 for a family for a year is exorbitant myself, but it is what it is at this point in time. The only way to reduce that is to reduce entire positions, so.
And it doesn't reduce the 35%, just. Maybe not.
Oh, no, but if, you know, if you don't fill a position, it's, you know. It's got family insurance, you're saving 51,000 on that too.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
and can we broach the subject on the pool and its use? I know I've got some correspondence that did not make the packet. Can I address the issue along those lines, or do we need to wait?
No, I think on the general budget, I think. Excluding the. Enterprise funds.
Hmm.
We have enough information to get close. Anyway, right, Sam?
Mhm. Yeah, control.
So yeah, this doesn't include any. Revenue. Increases on there, so.
Okay,
So yeah, there's. 5, 10, 15, probably 15 or 20 people from the. Ice worm swim team. Here supporting the pool. But yeah, if we wanna discuss that, if we've got a couple minutes here before we do enterprise funds, that's fine.
well, I was just wondering what that number was that we were trying to save that facilitated that uptick in cost to the team there. What are we looking at to gain there?
I guess,
Additional revenue, but that is not,
it's not in
it's
here.
not in this budget.
No.
Right, okay,
So we're gonna
Alright.
add 15,000 to the charge them, we would add that to our revenues here.
And just so it's clear, you
All
know, I have had conversations with some, or at least one person on this ice team, ice board swim team. Group, you know, we're willing to negotiate, but we need some input from them. We're starting it here and we'll move forward from there, but I feel like the total answer of no, we're not doing it. We need to negotiate and talk about it a little bit, and it could be all kinds of options. We're
Yeah,
to have discussion.
I think
Well,
they're
what-
trying to work through that.
But, so you're looking at. That's a huge user group and it's kids. The school is the biggest user group of the pool. So why are we gonna charge? I mean, the ice worm swimmers are buying passes. At Bedarkie in order to use the pool. They shouldn't have anything tacked onto that. If we're gonna charge for use of the pool, then it needs to be taken up with the school. That's the biggest user group of the pool. That's the direction I would look at. I am not in favor of putting anything else on the ice worm swim team for use of that facility.
I guess from my perspective, any facility or. Non-required thing like police, fire. The pool is one thing that I think the general fund. Can and should support. Since we're a water community.
We're cutting positions from the pool.
I recognize you're cutting positions. This budget does not include any. Of that revenue, and it also. Doesn't. If. Whether they were to operate or to not operate, our expenses line. Without that pool operations leader is not gonna change. And they use a few chemicals, they have
I
the
mean, they
lights
don't have
on.
anybody there when they're there. They staff it themselves.
Well, would
So
you
they
like
don't
to
need
talk
a
to the
supervisor.
Pool ops leader, I mean, I don't know, I'm not.
Yeah, I
I'm not a
think that,
swimmer.
yeah, and we don't need to get into negotiations tonight, I don't think.
Okay.
But we need to be able to sit down and work out
I
a
put it on the
amicable
table for
agreement.
them to
And
look at.
I think they're ready to do that as well.
Yeah.
Their concern, I think, with coming here tonight is that there's. I'm being told, and you may correct me, that they can't start the ice worm swim team until there's some kind of agreement made. And that's keeping them out of the pool, and they've got competitions coming up
We asked
relatively soon.
for, and I'm not sure why what date we ended up in, but all we asked for was a timeline or a proposal so that we make sure these negotiations continue. And I have not seen either, and I
Okay, we could talk about that during the regular meeting. I think we can work some kind of agreement that gets them in the pool and continues negotiations and works something.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, my thought process was there is, you know, our school budget, I believe, goes in and it finances volleyball, it finances basketball, wrestling, all these other sports, and then you have the ice worm swim team that's not financed by the school, right? Am I correct in that?
correct.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, I think it's an important venue. If we have to cut the school budget a little bit and put that school budget cut back over to the pool to finance that swim team, more or less, that's the amount I was looking for. That's where I would be headed. So I guess that's a discussion for another day, but that was my thought process.
Yeah, and we're not funding the ice worm swim team in any type, other than letting them use the pool there. Each family, I think I heard today, roughly $500 per kid, is what they pay through their fees, and they're part of the ice worm, or not the ice worm, part of the USA Swim, something like that,
But
so.
negotiations alludes to the fact that there will be asking for money, and I don't believe we should be charging this swim team.
Well,
I
can
mean,
we
that's-
have a negotiations to understand what they wanna bring to the table?
I
mean,
think they
haven't
don't
heard
wanna bring
anything.
money to the table,
Okay,
because it's,
Then let's-
I mean, it's expensive enough as it is. These guys pay for passes to use the pool.
I understand.
They shouldn't be paying for more than that.
too. Okay, I don't think this is a discussion for
Yeah.
this table.
If we
Okay.
don't add money to the revenue side of the pool budget, then I say that says that the council is supporting as is, no charge to the school and no charge to the swim team. That's what, well,
The manager
if you-
will take care of it, I think. I think it's a
It's
little
not-
in the weeds for this table.
it's not in the budget. I'm just saying, it's not in the budget.
That is
You wanna
correct.
add 15,000 to the pool budget revenues, then we can do that.
I think that Kristen,
Yeah, go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a little bit different, but still on the topic of the pool. So the city manager had asked about an HVAC upgrade to the pool and said the project would cost 25,000 with,
Budget right now.
pardon?
It's in the budget right
Okay.
now.
Okay, great. I wasn't totally clear on that because I definitely would like to see it stay in there, especially if it's generating savings. If the payback period is 2.5 years, that seems like something we should be doing. Thank you.
Yeah, all of those pool projects were still part of the budget. We didn't pull any of the pool projects, correct? Yeah, we still got the fire alarm and the HVAC and, So-
So we're investing large amounts of money
yeah,
into the pool, including the contract that was
Yeah.
just completed.
yeah, and we just spent, several $100,000 on the pool liner, so.
Yes, I knew that, but. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So we're good with the general fund for now, for this iteration? And we'll see that again next Wednesday? Yes, is that,
Yep,
I'm asking,
I'm saying, yeah.
okay. So we will move on to the enterprise funds, is that where we're at? General fund?
Yes.
Yeah, enterprise funds,
Mr. Mayor, I just want to let you know I'm on now.
okay, thank you. Casey. Enterprise funds, I think they're all balanced. Currently, there are some increases, can you tell us what the increases?
In the bees,
Yeah,
yeah, So water sewer, 5% each side, across the board. Refuse, we, 10% for the tips, dumpsters, spending a lot of money on bear proof dumpsters and dumpsters. Lids, oh, and 5% residential, and then the harbor is 5% across the board. And then Odiac, there are no increases, and I'm sorry that I forgot Odiac, I feel bad, that I left them out. But they are in a deficit because they no longer have a boiler. So they have a $10,000 deficit, we have a pretty solid estimate on that boiler, but that could be, it's actually a propane
In
heater
the swim thing,
in the bathrooms.
in the bathrooms. So where are we at with those temporary bathrooms?
Some of them, I believe, are not working right now, are supposed to be generated. I'd have to ask Samantha.
So that's not a replacement for that building. We can't use that as a replacement for the building there. Those temporary ones we got for COVID.
At some point in time, I think we were gonna build a new building there, but that's part of the long-term plan, I believe.
I don't know if we know what the long-term plan is.
Well,
Because
things,
revenue is going.
since COVID taught all of those users out there that they didn't need to bring the family over for 3 months, or it was easier to stay on the other side of the sound. If you've seen the camping park the last couple of years, it hasn't been
We can
at capacity for a while.
look at the revenue as well, you know. And we're at 20 this year.
Yeah, it wasn't even half full most of this year. And I think that's probably the trend for a while. Most of the Russians have figured out they don't need to bring a trailer over for the summer. So there may not be the need that we
Yeah, this is
had in the past.
Yeah, that's why we didn't try to zero it out, we left it open for a discussion, and it may be a very large discussion.
So the Odiac without that thing, it's balanced without that boiler. Yes, no?
Yes.
And the bath.
Yeah, and then no bathroom, no hot showers.
Yeah.
But there's a bathroom, you just can't have a hot shower or hot water.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
those restrooms that are out there temporarily, do we own those? Does the city own those? Do we rent those? That kind of shower or bathroom trailer facility, restroom facility?
We bought that with COVID money.
Yeah, I just,
Oh. Thank you.
I will check into what the status of that is, I know there are some issues.
Okay, well, let's just start with the Harvard. Are we good with the Harvard? Oh, what was the Harbor's increase? You know,
5% across the board.
5%?
I think it's the first.
27 is the page number on mine.
27. And Tony's here, any questions?
Does this include money for, into their depreciation fund or whatever you wanna call it?
No.
Okay,
And it does include, where are the bonds?
Down under the operations debt service. On principal and bond interest are listed there. There's no change there.
Oh, there's a whole other. So the bond debts are there, if you keep going to the page 30, I mean, the. We're trying to account for all the expenses that are there, the permanent bond transfer for the goods. principal and payment. We will be incurring another one of those next year for the pilings. This is for the actual bond. Mhm.
It includes you repaying the permanent fund
Correct.
for whatever the loans they have.
It's for the travel, the $18,000 payment.
Okay.
And it also includes the transfer to the general fund, and then all enterprise funds contribute to the general fund.
Right, yeah. Okay with that? Yes, no? Maybe. Okay, then let's look at the water. It was next on my list then.
And let's see, for all of, and I can't speak to Tony's departments, but the enterprise funds, water, sewer, refuse are all being hit with more mandated expenses from the state. Refuse is getting hit pretty hard, requiring a survey of the landfill area. And then also a closure plan, updated closure plan. Water and sewer are having to test more and more, so these are all increases for their. Or increases in operating budgets.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
did we see any, I guess, additional costs associated with the spill out there on wherever that was, 3.5, 4 miles?
We paid those in 24.
Mhm.
Are you asking for 25?
I was just, yeah, I just want to make sure we don't have any looming risk. Is that all
We have
taken care of?
contaminated soil that we will need to deal with at some point.
Okay. Do we have,
Approximately, the estimated cost right now is $350,000. We're still, that we will not do in fiscal year 25.
okay,
I don't know. I'm hoping that we can work something out with contractors around town.
Was that covered by insurance at all?
No.
What?
but in the meantime, we have a pseudo indefinite place to store this soil then until we can figure something
Yes.
out? Okay. That's all I want to, thank you.
And again, with the transfer. No depreciation in any of these, or,
We have kind of, I mean, we have stopped doing that.
okay, yeah, the only reason I ask is because. Without that, we're even here, we've been behind on some of these enterprise funds for a while. And we had somebody here telling us at one point, maybe the auditor, that that depreciation fund isn't really a depreciation fund, it's just a fund balance for this. Anyway, there's no additional money going into any kind of emergency fund or loan fund, they've used those monies for a lot of different things over time, so. Just point that out, that it does not include any emergency funds of any kind. It's the budget. Expenses come in more, their revenues come in less, where there is no balance there to make that up. We good with that, water? Okay, let's look at the sewer. Same thing on the sewer then.
Yeah, we just. Mhm. So they all have, loan payments incorporated into their zero balance. And in-kind costs to the school and chamber. And water sewer employees are split 50-50.
Yeah.
They do both.
They're currently fully staffed, yeah.
We are, first time, we have been for a while, that's the first time in a long time. So, good group of people out there. All of them together.
Mr. Mayor.
Sewer? Yes.
Yeah, I guess generally speaking, water, sewer, do we have any risks, maintenance risks? I don't know what else you would say, or potential expenditures. I know nothing was captured on the budget, but anything that's got a knot in your stomach, Sam?
All of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah, and we have aging infrastructure, we're working on the water sewer master plan to get some things identified. I've been working with a group from AML that is a resilience group to getting the document, because that's what grants love. The more you put it in a document, the better chances are you'll get it. But yeah, we have some potential issues with aging infrastructure. I mean, the food pond is from the 70s.
Do we, thank you for that. Do we have any additional fee? I don't necessarily see any consultant fees in here tied to the master plan for 25.
Professional services in both sewer and water go towards
Okay.
engineering and things like that, and then Kevin, in Public Works, we also have some professional services to help us with. If we get into a position where we need some engineering or some preventative type work too.
Perfect. Thanks for calling that out.
And I could look in the audit, for sure, but is there any balance in any of these?
I don't
Fund
know.
balance, which, you know, we used to call the depreciation fund, but there is no such thing really.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around
Okay.
all
I'll
of
look,
that.
I'll look at the audit should say
I'm pretty sure they're all
that,
negative.
yeah, it makes a difference whether there's a couple $100,000 in that, then you don't worry as much about emergencies, but if there's,
But then, yeah, I mean,
if there's negative in there, then that money's ultimately coming from the general fund at this point in time, right? If their bottom line is negative, then
I
that
don't-
negative is made up with.
I am not a finance person on the show, maybe you can address it more, but the depreciation that hits them in the audit takes any chance of any money being saved. I mean, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars on depreciation of equipment and materials.
You know, it should
It's
say
in
that
the
what the
audit.
balance is in that account,
That
the
is,
regular account. I'll look at the audit, I can tell you, looking at the audit. I can tell you what it was last,
the depreciation.
January,
the
or
money-
December 31st, 2023.
Yeah, but the money we transferred, or that we used to put over there to transfer, always got ate up by the depreciation.
Yeah. Well, book
The depreciation
depreciation, book
of the-
depreciation.
Of the actual.
Of the
Yeah.
equipment.
I'm just saying, when we
facilities.
did that harbor project, seemed like every other thing was coming out of the harbor depreciation fund. Which
Which,
Which was the general fund.
technically there isn't, yeah. Anyway. Do you have any changes to refuse?
Just a question.
Yep.
The diameter professional services, showing 125,000 in expenditures.
yeah,
Pretty high compared to every year. Why is that?
because we have to do water surveys at all the landfill wells and have them tested twice a year. This year, we will also have to do a survey of the landfill. We have to do land closure fill. We have to pay the state for permit to have a landfill, and then we have to pay for a permit fee. So it's all those kinds of, and that, those things have to be done by professionals, you know, whether it's an engineer or a surveyor. And then just every time we do a survey, we have it analyzed by an engineer, and then we have to go back and forth with the, with the Department of Natural Resources. So it's expensive. Yeah.
Other comments? We get their hand up. You'll have to tell me if somebody's got.
No hands up.
Okay, so where were we at, refuse?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is refuse fully staffed, Sam?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything on refuse? No? Okay, let's look at the ODR part then. That's the last one, I think.
Mayor Alvin,
Yes.
before we move on, can I just make a quick comment about the Public Works Department's enterprise funds and
Yeah.
appreciation?
Sure.
I just have to say this because based on how I've seen happen and what I've seen happen in other communities, I'm terrified about the future costs for the water department and the sewer department when it comes to infrastructure replacement. Everyone in this community has amazing drinking water. And we have, you know, your waste goes away when you flush the toilet and your garbage goes away once a week. You compare our rates to anywhere else in the country, we pay nothing for our water, our sewer, and our refuse. And that is why we have no money in our depreciation fund. The previous community that I worked in, they recently had to, it was like quadruple their rates because the community refused to raise rates at a consistent rate to keep up with maintenance, and their infrastructure is crumbling. And that is going to potentially happen in this community one day if we do not increase our rates to keep up with that need. So just want to put that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's why I asked about it. So we, you know, maybe 5% isn't enough. We've been behind for a long time.
What would that number look like? I mean, what are we talking there? What we would suggest or to generate out of those enterprise funds? What are we talking about? What kind of number?
That's something that we're hoping to get out of the water and sewer master plan that's going to be completed here in the next few months. So I mean, it's nothing that we can address at this budget currently, but that is something we need to seriously take a look at going forward. We're always talking about wanting users to pay for the improvements in this town. And like I said, we have amazing water, but people are not paying the true cost of what it takes to process that water, treat that water, and then also take your garbage away every month. So.
Well, the discussion was on some reserve funds, right? So how much should we be setting aside? What would that recommendation be?
You were deciding on your own.
I don't know, without seeing what comes from the water sewer master plan to really truly understand what our future implications are for the infrastructure needs. That's not something that I've looked into yet, so. But I'm just saying, we talk about this depreciation fund and how nothing's going into it. I just wanted to explain why. It's because we are charging an amount that just is enough to operate every year. We don't charge enough to save for future improvements, so.
Yeah, Tom, if you wanted to see how much money it would generate, you could just take the water revenue and.
Not this year's revenue.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, water, sewer and refuse took a huge hit. The industrial users are the major payers in this community. And, you know, last year the price of fish wasn't great, but the fish showed up. So they still had to use the water to process the fish. This year, the fish didn't show up, and it shows it in all of the budgets. The refuse budget, they weren't taking away refuse from them. The water wasn't being used, so there was no fish to process. So those funds get hit hard when we have bad fishing years.
I'm just saying, if I look at the water revenue on page 31, the proposed is 977, 809. If we added another 5% to that, that'd be another roughly 48,000. Something like that, so
The budget numbers in front of you is with the increase,
with the 5%.
with the 5% for the refuse for the water and sewers, 5% across the board,
Yeah.
and the refuse is
Yeah,
5.
I got that, but if
Yeah.
if for his own personal. Wants to figure out if we need to put 200,000 in the water bank account. Then what do we need to raise that percentage in? It's pretty easy calculable.
Yeah, and I've talked with Sam and, you know, that's one of the issues we have is when we have, you know, quote unquote, have extra money, it just goes into the general fund. And I would love for us to look at putting separate true savings accounts aside that are for those departments that they're not, I don't wanna say getting rated by the general fund, but that is separate in their own place, that is there for when they need it.
I agree, and we're getting the finance department straightened out, but there should never have been a mixture of our enterprise fund funds with the general fund. I mean, if they run short, they should be asking the general fund for a loan or for a gift or other. It should not just be
Do we get to ask them?
automatic. Enterprise funds are individual businesses that are supposed to be on their own, so that finance should be able to track that, I would think. To get codes, it probably already is.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things to figure out and work on, and.
Yeah.
You know, if you feel like, if you would be more comfortable raising the rates in 5%. You know, 10% total, that's. Yeah, it's gonna put more money in the coffers for the, water department and sewer department, but. I don't feel like we can come and give you an exact number of what we need. To be putting away each year. I think the rate study will be recommended. For both departments.
Yeah, and because of my concerns, when we put out the request for the water and sewer master plan, that was something that I specifically put in there with that we need to do a rate study to be looking at what we need to project going forward. So that is information we'll have in the coming months.
Yeah, just if we don't do anything now, it puts us another year behind, that's all.
But we can bring it back. If you.
Oh, it is. Council's
Certainly.
prerogative with it.
And I
Mr.
didn't
Mayor?
come up with Jack rates up today.
Yeah.
I just wanted to express my concerns because this is
I hear you.
something long-term that we do need to start figuring out sooner than later.
Yeah. Who was that, Bailey? Oh, Kinsman, go ahead.
Yeah, and just along those lines, I thank you, Kevin, for bringing that forward. It's been on my mind of not actually being very new to the community and seeing our rates. But I think what would be wise and prudent is for us to get on top of this and start saving something, because what our community can't do is quadruple, triple our rates in 1 year. And so if we need to start being proactive and start this year, then let's do that. So. And I know we don't have the study and we don't have a rate study. I understand that, but we know that just looking at the budget, what we're charging is just the cost of operation. So we're behind.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's kind of where I was headed.
Okay, we'll bring it back.
I think
And
they all
Mr. Mayor, with that, I think that should go across for all the enterprise funds. And I mean, really anywhere when we're looking at our fee schedule, if we're not building into that cost for maintenance, and then that's not saying we're doing the maintenance today or even next year, but having some funds for that, then again, we're behind.
Yeah, we've tried to use those funds for matches for equipment and all kinds of things, but, so yeah, I think, we can look at that. They should have some kind of equation to cover that. So Zodiac, this would put them negative, then this does not include the boiler?
It does.
It does.
The boilers are putting them in. So if they don't have a boiler, there's no.
Okay, so that's under boiler maintenance and for.
Yeah.
It does.
I'm unsure, I don't even know, if Sam knows the working condition of the portable. Do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
And Kathy has a hand up. What do you think?
Good.
And
I know from, the maintenance department has stated to me that, it was meant to not be worked on. So it was a COVID, building that was not easily accessed for maintenance. So not a long-term solution for it, and some of it is wearing down and not replaceable. So I think right now, only 1 or 2 of the showers are working in it, and the rest of it, we just use the storage closets. But we have been using those two different showers. I think possibility there's one now,
Do the bathrooms all work? Besides the
just
shower?
that one. And so it's steadily deteriorating, can't keep up with the maintenance issues that are happening with it, and it wasn't, I don't think, intended to be something that could be fixed. It was a one-time deal COVID package.
For $100,000, you'd think it'd be fixable.
You would think, and Micah has definitely done a lot of work when he can to it, to keep it going. But I think. As a
So there's only
long-term
one-
solution for anything,
There's
not,
one shower working in that, and then there's no boiler in the old
Right.
system that works.
yeah. That just happened right when we closed. We've been working on it for a long time. I think we'll see the history says that.
Who hit their hands up?
nobody has them out now.
Oh,
Oh, Mr. Mayor, it was me.
oh, go ahead.
So I'm gonna bring this up again. I didn't see that many campers there this summer.
Oh,
Is this still something that we need to operate and maintain?
There were not many campers there this summer. I think that everyone's on point with the reasoning behind not having anyone here. I am hopeful that, I mean, I do have ideas. I would love to see it up and running and marketed a little bit differently. I don't think we've really marketed it. It's deteriorating. I think we need to put some funds to it eventually, if we do want to see it go that way. But it hasn't been put out there as a camper, a place to come in Cordova to camp. We have camp sites now, tent sites, I think there's 2, so we are doing nightly tent sites, so we've had some uptick in that, but the marketing part of it, we haven't been doing.
Thanks.
Yeah, if I might add, Mayor, I would agree, on the ability to market that and have that actually generate funds is pretty likely. There's really no place for people coming off the ferry to.
Exactly.
To be able to park and camp in a secure, safe place that has amenities.
Right,
So it has a lot of potential.
it does, I think, without throwing any numbers out there, my feeling is that it does have a lot of potential if we try to invest in it.
so again, do these guys have any funds in their balance, or that's all been merged with the general fund?
Nothing in there.
Can we improve this negative? How does that work?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
it's over 30 years of driving by that camper park. I mean, it was, for me, my observation was mainly commercial fishermen that utilized it. It didn't seem like there was a lot of sport fishermen or hikers or campers that were actually there was a few, but it didn't seem like there's very many. And then as the commercial fishing dropped off, boy, you just didn't see many campers coming in there. So, and then with our ferry schedule and other things, I'm not sure it's worth the money to. I mean, it's going to take a big discussion to put a lot of money into that place for what it was been doing over the past, because I don't think the commercial fishing is going to come back to it.
Yeah.
I know that the Parks and Rec Department has done a master plan, work, and that's part of the master plan on how to re-envision that location, right?
It is, yes, we're halfway through that master plan. So I think it's on hold from what I've heard. The master
The
plan.
entire master
Yeah.
plan was not funded, it was
Right.
only funded at half, and it's not in the budget now.
Yeah, the marketing needs to change because there wasn't an option pre-COVID for anybody except a commercial fisherman in there. And then COVID hit and now maybe we should be marketing facilities we have instead of marketing to cruise ships. Just saying, we have a facility to market to RV traffic.
I think there is, it's just my personal opinion, I think there is a market there for it, and if we put it out there, you know, it's an inexpensive place to stay in Cordova. You stay here, it helps the whole community.
Kristen, have
Go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to echo that. I think I was thinking about kind of what do we do about our economy overall. I do think we want to, and this is another conversation, but outdoor recreation is growing. People are traveling. I do think we want to maintain this facility and market it. Although it's usable mostly for somebody with a vehicle. I know in the past it's been advertised as a tent camping site, but and maybe now there's a couple other tent campsites that are adjacent to it that are developed, but nobody who camps in a tent is going to pitch their tent in a gravel lot. So it's not really usable for that. But I do think we should, it fills a need that doesn't get filled in other ways in our community, and that we should market it, and it could be part of helping us diversify our tourism economy, as small as that is. But the tourism economy is growing in a lot of other places, and I think we should be working on figuring out how we capitalize on that. And this could be a start. So I'd like to not see us do away with it. I understand that people say, you know, it hasn't been used at super high levels, but we haven't really tried. And I do know that folks from time to time come through from the Lonely Planet travel guides, and that it gets listed in there. I don't know if it's listed in places like the Milepost or other like alaska.org. The Alaska app is a huge tourism guide that we could be probably using more. So those are just some thoughts. But yeah, I do think we should hold on to it and figure out how we can make it functional. Thanks.
So what does council want to do with the negative balance? We either need to put more revenues in there or decide how we're gonna pay for the boiler. Is that a pretty firm cost on the boiler, or it's an estimate?
It's an estimate, but it's from Kiwi,
Okay,
so it's
So it's
not
pretty-
just a wild guess.
okay.
None got the estimates.
23 actual was quite a bit higher for revenue, so maybe you can up that. Cover it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you think you can get some marketing,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that would involve the chamber and that, I mean,
Yeah.
got an agreement with them to,
That's a great plan.
you wanna put 30,500 in the revenue? So what the plan is?
Yep.
It's more than the last. You skip last year, it's more than the average on the other year. Okay, any objection to that?
That balances it.
That would balance it, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good timing.
Okay, that was, staff good?
I have to ask something for Sam's benefit, Bishop, if I don't say this.
Oh, no.
Just going back to what I was saying about the our Liberty Enterprise Fund, it's not as simple as just raising the rates and then that money going into a separate account. The city uses that money to get by because of the cash flow issues that we have. So if the cash flow issues aren't addressed, which Sam has brought to your attention many times, we can't just take the enterprise money away from the general fund. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
We live
Some
on
why,
that.
and, yeah, good point.
Yeah, we live on.
Yeah, I know that we use that money, but the code for that in our accounting system should have a total on it that we know we've been spending everybody else's money forever. But there should be a way to know that this belongs to the water, this belongs to the sewer. Don't just throw that money into the general fund and forget about it in the enterprise fund.
Yes, but back to the cash flow part, the audit did show also that we ended 2023 with less than $150,000.
Yeah. Yeah, the
In the actual-
cash flow is a separate issue. Which I think is gonna be tried to be addressed here some point in time.
It'll be addressed.
Okay. Then our workshop is over.
So how can you, are you on wireless? No. Wireless doesn't work for us.
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
for us on the phone, are all this staying on this one link? We're not hanging up and coming back? Okay,
Yes.
good.
Keeping it the same, I'm gonna maybe know how to mute it or something.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, does that include the executive session?
Casey, I think she's gonna send us a new number for the executive session.
No, I'm not,
Oh.
we'll just, well, I'll be able to see who's on, so we'll just clear the room and we'll clear the Zoom. Clear the room,
Okay.
clear the Zoom.
Thank you.
You got us on mute again?
You are on mute again, but
Okay,
don't worry, we're not discussing anything that's pertaining to council. We're just discussing technical problems.
okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, call the city council public hearing of November 6th, 2024, 6:45 PM. It's actually 6:55. Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison,
Here?
Tom Baylor,
Here.
Kathy Sherman,
Here,
Casey Kinsman,
Here.
Wendy Rainey,
Here.
Dave Zastro,
Here.
Kristen Smith,
Here,
Ken Jones. Ken, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, it took me a while to find the button. I'm here.
That is all of council.
Okay, thank you. Our public hearing tonight is on substitute ordinance 1221. Unless anybody objects, I will waive the reading of the full text of that. It's in your packet, in the packet online. Anybody have any comments on substitute ordinance 1221, which is regarding sales taxes, general reserve fund, et cetera, et cetera? Anybody?
Yeah, we have a question on sales tax.
Okay. Come on up, state your name and address. And please use the mic so those online will have opportunity to hear you.
Karen Peterson, Peterson Weldon, 6 Mile Cordova. Our concern is, it says that it's only supposed to be rewording what's there. So are you actually changing how we're doing our tax for sales tax now, or you just trying to clarify?
There are some changes to it. I'll give a summary.
So we are re-clarifying and trying to make it easier to understand what our exemptions are or aren't. We are also defining what our expectations are for sales tax returns. Which, when you provide examples or add, defining text may look like a change. But as interpreted, as the code is written, we are not changing any sales tax exemptions or collections or those kinds of things.
So we're gonna, like we've done this past year, we have the 7%, we got the raise of 5,000.
The biggest,
We're good with how we do it, or?
yeah, the biggest change to you might be that we aren't doing any more prepaid sales tax on big projects. If they get a building permit to build a new building, then in the past, they've had an exempt card. Maybe, I don't know if they do that with you guys or not.
Yeah, they bring in a.
There won't be any more tax exempt cards.
Correct, in the
For that.
code, there was always the option to either use tackling conversation. Either a sales tax card or a reimbursement. We are moving away from the sales tax card and doing reimbursements only. The other thing that you may experience, and I don't know, because I'm not a sales tax collector, but we will be asking for clarifications on exemptions if we feel like we don't understand what those are. And what is being called an exemption. So we potentially we will be asking you to resubmit additional information if we feel we needed to understand the exemption.
So right now, how we do it is, so say somebody has a $10,000 bill. And we have their name in there, how much was exempt and how much tax was paid on it. So we have they hit the $5,000 mark, so they paid their $350. This is what's remaining. And we list up how much money on the side, plus all the money that we paid.
Yeah, this is a way of my sales.
So are you saying that that's the same? I mean,
Yeah, it probably doesn't change much to you
Well,
at all, except for a little more detail.
The part that could change is if you're saying it's a $10,000 invoice, if there's multiple items in there. The cap, the $5,000 cap is on each item,
single item,
single items,
The definition of single item is the big deal change.
yes.
it's not a change.
That's a-
It's a clarification of the
Yes,
code.
what's been happening is probably, there have been some businesses doing it one way, others doing it another way. We changed the language so it's more clear.
Yeah.
To be one item, which is the one item or single transaction of a service.
And how, it
So
was,
single transaction of a service.
Yes, so if there's, labor or a service. On one,
if the labor is $6,000 on that $10,000 item, the cap will get applied to that $6,000 and then the 4,000 would still be owed if they were individual items or a $4,000 single item.
So
That
you're
makes sense.
saying if we had somebody come and have a tank built and they had. Say $3,000 in aluminum, $6,000 in this huge tank there, $6,000 in labor, you're telling me that.
It's on each item. So $6,000 of labor would qualify for the cap, but then they would still pay the sales tax on the aluminum.
3,000?
Mhm.
It's not a package. You can't do the package thing.
Well, that's.
So I do think that has the potential to be a big
Yes,
change for people.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big change and a lot of issues.
If you're gonna comment, come on up and
You
comment.
gotta tell them the mic so they can hear you on the phone.
Jesse Peterson. We're just trying to clarify on how we're gonna need to do. I guess our business, changes, like I said, if we're building something and. We're talking about, $6,000 in aluminum. Are we categorizing the aluminum as one item, or do we have to? Separate the plate and the angle and then.
I think the way it'll read is that all the items to build one item.
Mhm.
Will be an item.
Mhm.
So if it's $10,000 worth of stuff, you can cap that at 3. But then if it's
Five.
five.
Yeah.
Then if it's $6,000 of
Labor.
that would be a single transaction of a service. You can put them on the same bill, but maybe it would be smart for you to put them on two, so that you can see that those get capped separately.
Okay.
And we fully intend to have Q and As and, once we get past budget and get things rolling, we will definitely have Q and As and forms and
The forms will be changed and will be very clear.
it'll be a little easier to
It's
understand.
easier for you to show us the exemptions on the forms.
And that's not a change from before that part, that's
That's a
that's the
clarification.
way it's always been, but we gotta clarify it because. Some people were doing it that way, some people were combining it all into one. And we just need to do it all consistently in the way. The intent of the code originally was to. Each individual item or, aluminum, labor. Delivery, whatever, all you have.
Very different public hearing.
Yeah, that's okay.
But maybe helpful.
It's okay, there's not much, but anybody else have any comments on this? Let's point that. You can also make comments on it during the regular. Agenda here in a minute, but there being no further comments. Running to the stage, we will adjourn the public hearing. We ready to continue on?
Sure.
Okay, we'll call the regular city council meeting of November 6th, 2024 at 7 PM. To order, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, please.
Mayor Allison,
Here.
Tom Baylor,
Here.
Kathy Sherman,
Here,
Stacy Kinsman,
Here.
Wendy Rainey,
Here.
Dave Zabstra,
Here.
Kristen Smith,
Here,
and Ken Jones.
Here.
That is all of council.
Any objection to the regular agenda? Hands up. Okay, hearing none, the agenda will stand approved as presented. Disclosure of conflicts of interest and ex parte communication. Hearing none, we'll move along to communications by participant visitors. We have no guest speakers, so audience comments regarding agenda items. Anybody wanna comment? Don't state your name and address.
My name is Andy Anderson, 528, First Street, apartment 4. I want to make it very clear I'm here as a citizen. I wanted to make a comment on some of the budget items. I'm currently a coach on the ice swim team. I also have been working in the swim profession for the last 3 years. I was a collegiate coach at my college, and I worked closely with the aquatics director in managing a lot of the renters and the use of the facility. And something that I just wanted to make it clear was that even a lot of pools around the lower 48, even though renters pay for the usages of pools, a lot of pools around the nation are still not making revenue goals and therefore always consistently under. So something I want to make very clear is that although these other pools around the world, not only do swimmers pay membership fees to the pool, they pay monthly memberships on average between $100 and $200 a month. These pools are still not making enough to stay open. Actually, I witnessed 2 close in my area because of that. And so I feel as though I know that the swim team parents still pay a monthly membership, that's not currently being contributed back to the city, but the reality is that the facility will not exist because something like the liner that you just fixed recently is not a one-time fix and save the pool. It is a every 10-year thing, and that is just one item on the list of many items that go into a pool. And nowhere else in the state of Alaska do swim teams get to swim for free. They too both have to pay memberships and monthly memberships for their swim team, as well as not including something like a swim meet fee. You have to pay each meet that you attend, you have to pay an additional fee for because the usage of that pool is not categorized within their normal revenue source. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Comments in general? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along to chairpersons, representatives, boards and commissions. Regional Hospital Board. Let's see, come on.
Evening, David Jenka, with G10 in the harbor, represent the city of Cordova on the Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council Board. Sorry, I missed your last meeting when our highlights from our last board meeting was included in your package. It was out enjoying the sound, but I thought I'd stop by, make sure there were any questions and highlight a few recent oil industry items. The most recent was early this morning, one of the escort tugs escorting a tanker just south of Valdez Narrows was struck by lightning. So I'm sure that was a pretty exciting morning. Some of their electronics were fried, but the engines and navigation equipment and radios remain operational. And there was another tug not too far away that came over and switched out. They slowed everybody down to like 2 or 3 knots, and things seem to be handled really well. One thing you might be aware of, we've been always battling it, is keeping the weather buoys up and running properly. And they got the Seal Island rock buoy back up for wave height, and now it's down again. And that's the main one that the captain of the port uses to whether to close or open. Actually closed it for a while, that storm about a month ago. So it's very frustrating to have to get that electronics out there real squared away. One thing, there is a link on that, update on, miscommunication in the maritime context. The presentation is, available on RCC, or on the miscommunication website that's in there. Highly recommend taking a look at that. Just a fascinating study on miscommunication. It is applicable to your crew, your work group, your team. Very, very insightful stuff in there. A council, whatever, just that miscommunication in anything. The ironic part was that the sound system at the Kodiak facility was really bad. And the person talked too fast. So it's kind of ironic kind of miscommunication talk. I attended online. I did not go to Kodiak for it. On the online was very good, the sound, and so was the recording they have. On a little more kind of overlapping into a little more personal and not fully on the RCAC thing, there is that, we did get that new oil field presentation on the Pica unit on the North Slope. And asked some of them about this, but most of that oil they're gonna be producing at that will go to export. And this summer, we had at least 6 tankers loaded in Valdez that were foreign flag. Now, foreign flag can't go from a US port to a US port, so all 6 of those tankers this summer delivered to somewhere other than the US. And at least 2 of them, I believe, is delivered to China. I don't get it. So I have a real hard time when I hear people talk about drill to keep our country strong and keep us from importing oil when we're allowing this oil to be exported. We're just talking out their nose. Anyway, as was funny, so is there any other questions on our CAC? The next board meetings in Anchorage, late January. We have a workshop and a science night, early December in Anchorage. Always open if you happen to be in the area. The swing, the science night's always interesting.
Okay, any questions for Dave? Comments? Video online? Okay, thank you. Appreciate the work you do in representing us over there. Thanks.
Thank you.
School board? Alex, you want to represent them?
Short answer to your question is no. So Alex Rustin, superintendent. It's been quite a while since I've been to a meeting, so it's nice to be back in front of you. So our school year is, as you know, well underway, and we're several weeks into the second semester. Things are going well academically for our students. We're seeing nice progress on interim assessments and various academic benchmarks that we have set along the way. So that's a good thing. Activities are up and running. Again, the generous support that you're all aware of, I'm sure, from NBE to be able to sustain our activities and our food service program for this year. Have a number of activities scheduled for the rest of the school year. We've got our annual tip-off tournament that's going to be taking place in January. I think that weekend is the 17th and 18th, and then we're also hosting regionals for basketball in the first part of March. So lots of people will be coming to town for those things. We do have a board meeting scheduled for next week, next Wednesday. So we'll likely be unable to have a representative here should you have a budget work session at that time. One of the highlights that we'll have during the meeting is a presentation from a new auditing firm that we have this year. And our initial review of the report is that we have a clean audit. No significant, if any, findings. So that's always nice to hear from an auditing firm when you get that news back. But beyond that, things are going well. We're gonna start our budgeting process, sometime in January. And, like you, like the city, you know, we're looking at a pretty significant deficit, likely as well, probably a 1.7 to $2 million deficit, largely in part because of the increase of costs of goods and services like everybody's experiencing. So our school board will have some tough decisions in front of them. The administration will do its best to not impact students in the least way that we can be, based on you know, some of the things that we may have to cut back or reduce altogether. With that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to field them.
Any questions for Alex? I just have one question, and you may or may not know the answer at this point in time. I know it's been early, but you do your counts in October, correct? How, do you have a feeling of how that came out compared to what you budgeted for, what you expected?
Yeah, so we budgeted for 352.5 students, and our count coming in is 352.
Okay.
So we should be right,
Good.
right on the mark as far as that goes. So we do also use that calculation to determine the minimum and maximum contribution for our FY 26 budget,
Right.
which again, we'll be starting to work on in January.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Alex? Okay, thank you, Alex.
Thanks.
Any other boards and commissions that I'm missing? Okay, still don't have student council. Do they have a student council rep yet? Do you know, have we been in
I
contact with
haven't
the
heard
school?
from them. Is student council up and running, Alex?
It is.
Okay. Contact.
What they wanna add somebody or not? Not that they have to, but
Okay,
it's opportunity for them.
sure,
We have no consent calendar tonight. That's an oddity, huh?
yes.
No minutes. We haven't been doing anything, right? No bids or contracts. Reports of officers, my report, all I have to say is, we got the ND sobriety celebration, and I have a proclamation, to read and a welcome, to them for that. And I think also maybe Sam and I, will, might meet with, Senator Sullivan this weekend. He's coming for he and a group of his family and staff are coming for the sobriety celebration. And I hadn't heard if Stoops is coming. Sometimes she comes to that as well. Anyway, I'll probably, tomorrow, I meant to do it today, but send out a congratulation email to Stoots. And did we get a final on Peltola baggage? It was too close to call the last
I
I saw.
haven't seen it.
Anyway, when that's all figured out, I will send a note to them as well. Keep us in their minds. So, city manager's report.
Well, can I just, did you want to invite any of council to do the
Oh.
Sullivan thing this weekend,
I don't
or
know.
do you think it's smaller than that?
I think it was. Were you gonna be able to come Sunday at 11? I think it's Sunday at 11:30, 11:30 to 12:30. If there's council member or two, can be more than that. Want to join us, certainly welcome to do that. I will get with you, Sam, before that, so that we can make sure that we're on the same page with our.
You don't have an argument in the middle of them.
Federal requests. Things will be changing in DC a little bit, so. Be good to chat with him. He'll be in the majority now on the Senate side, so, yeah. Could be some opportunities there for us. Okay, go ahead, Sam. Just get a hold of me if anybody wants to join us, we'll get you the location and the time. I don't think we have a location yet. But we'll get that worked out.
Okay.
So a couple things, so the health board meetings with Indy and the CCMC went really well. Very productive. Everybody has the same goal of having a hospital, critical care hospital. It's just how we get there and how things roll. But I think there was probably really good camaraderie and the working together is on both sides. And so we have decided to meet well, I shouldn't say I'm just gonna be going, but they've decided to meet quarterly. Our next meeting is in February. Of course, there's gonna be, PERS, there's gonna be all those kinds of discussions. We'll also be talking about duplicating, how we can avoid duplicating services and that the clinic and the grants and those kinds of things. So there's a lot to think about. So I'll just keep you guys posted as those come along. Right now, we're just trying to figure out kind of sort of where we are and how we're gonna get somewhere else. Also, we met with DOT engineers. They are they're creating a temporary fix for the Forest Heights blowout. With a long-term fix at some point in the future. The long-term fix is a big deal. So we just met with them because Kevin and I, so that we could kind of get an idea of what they're thinking and maybe what we're gonna be looking at with that water coming off that road. So, well, that is something that we'll be looking at 25, maybe as a project. And that's, I mean, just a lot of budget work, a lot of numbers, a lot of other city manager stuff that's not very exciting. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions for Sam?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
where are we at on the harbor update completion? I mean, we're moving forward. I know that.
Tony's coming.
Thank you.
So we still have a small punch list of electrical. Lindsay, the electrician, she is back in town, so reorienting a couple lights, upland lights, just so that the sensor daylight sensors aren't shutting them off on us. And then still waiting on a breaker for K-flow. Doesn't affect electrical to anyone else, it's just an extra breaker that's gotta go in there. And then one wire still gonna be run in G-flow. For one pedestal down, one of the transient pedestals. And then we talked to Kernigan today. The transition plate from the drive down ramp. This lifts up on one side. They're gonna put a UHMW piece in there and fix that, so it's not a tripping hazard. I think that is pretty much it. The road, they're cutting the road. Wilson's is gonna maintain that until we get pavement. So I need to call them tomorrow and have them come down and fix it, so.
The cranes?
Oh, yeah. Calvin from Custom Hydraulics, he is working on them when the weather is not really horrible. He's got all the tubing in and just finishing up a few small things here and there, so hopefully if the weather permits, next week we'll have both the cranes on, the drive down running, and then we have water on the drive down. It's heat traced, so it works year round. Right through the winter, it doesn't need to stay running, so we're not wasting water either like we used to keep it on. So when people need to come and get water, just gotta go over there.
That's been closed though, right? Or it's open then?
It's open, but you can't use the cranes or anything, but
Yeah.
pull over there to get water or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for the update. I guess between the two of you, Sam and Tony, what's the timeline for for the final submission to turn again? We have an idea on that to be done.
If you mean the final payment to turning in, we are currently waiting on MARAD. I know that's a surprise, but we're waiting on MARAD to review a submission for $925,000 that will meet our match. The person who usually does the review is out of town. They think they might have somebody else do the review, but they're not sure. So we're still waiting on that because we have to, that has to be approved, that match has to be approved before we can finish that, close out MARAD. And once we get closer to that, then, or once that happens, then we have still do we pay 425? We did the 425.
I think so.
We did the 425. Then we'll be able to do substantial completion, we'll be able to finish the state reimbursements that are milestone related, so. We're waiting on Merit to finish that process.
Okay. Do you, I know we're collecting interest right now on a large sum of money. Do we anticipate collecting that interest through November?
Well, at the rate they're going, I would say yes.
Okay,
But
great.
they can surprise me.
I'm trying to find the silver lining in all this, and that is a
Yeah,
pretty
we
good
can
silver
look
lining.
up.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Any other questions for Sam? Or Tony's still here, if you have harbor questions?
I
Yeah.
forgot to say. So I just wanted to give a call out to Tony, the chief, Public Works, on getting rid of the cars in the North Harbor, cleaning out the impound lot. There are still a few cars in there, but I don't know if you guys haven't gone over and looked at the North Harbor parking lot. It's like a brand new place, and
Public Works did an amazing job. Police department worked to get those out of there, so yeah.
yeah, it was a group effort. It was done efficiently and as a good teamwork, and we intend to continue to avoid ever seeing a car with a tree on it again.
So is that lot gonna be blocked off all winter,
That is our plan right now, yes.
and then open it up in the spring for parking?
Yep, and then that way the road stays good and.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is our plan right now, and we're evolving to see how we're gonna try to make the harbor parking better.
So the new parking garage.
We're not really getting the pool from, we're getting.
Any other questions for the manager? Okay, clerk's report.
Well, a couple of meetings ago, I was not here and Kevin ran the meeting, and I don't know if I thanked him for that, but thank you for that, Kevin. But I shouldn't put agenda items on when I'm not gonna be at the meeting, because I never got the end of that agenda item when we created the new fisheries committee. So if it's okay, not anything we're gonna do right away, but I'll put it on pending agenda maybe, because we'll refresh ourselves and come up with the exact makeup, how many
Right.
people and how to fill them. And it's not in a rush because, of course, the one thing I keep putting in the packet is the ad for the other boards and commissions, which I still have one of the 9 seats. I have one application for 9 available seats, so
Do that, people? Get
please
your names in for
Yeah.
boards and commissions.
help us fill those.
Could be on more than one.
Sure, we can do that. I did hear from someone today, maybe who might put in for Parks and Rec, so that's good. And then we just have a lot going on in the office with Colette, who is new deputy clerk, learning a lot about property tax, and we've also been. She's been like revamping a little bit the senior citizen form, so even though it's a one-time application for the senior citizen and disabled veteran exemption. We're kind of reformulating that, and we're going to put it out again to get just a refresher on everybody. So if anybody's listening to this, you'll be getting that in the mail if you're already on the list. And you'll just have to fill out a new form for that. And then Jess and Colette and I are meeting tomorrow after Jess and Sam and Kevin and I met to work on this economic development property tax exemption ordinance that's coming before you tonight. That is a very specific application required to be approved by council by ordinance, but then with all the other exemptions that we've put in with 1217 that we passed, I think, in August. We're going to try to come up with an easier form for that. It's just, we're just trying to get a very close, good handle on all the exemptions, have easy enough forms to fill out to accomplish that and have better records keeping of all that, so. Nonprofits, if you're out there, you'll be getting forms this year versus the previous year when it was a little more drawn out, harder to do. The assessors will be here. Can't recall if it's December 3rd or 4th for 3 or 4 days. I think taking more pictures, updating any percent complete new construction stuff, but Sam and Kevin and I will meet with them also. Just have a chat. And so people should be aware, and maybe we'll put an ad out that if they're around taking pictures, they're not bad guys, they're just taking pictures to update our records. That is it. I'll try to catch up on some minutes because that's why there was no consent calendar today.
Any questions for the clerk? Okay, thank you. Correspondence listed there? Comments, questions? Are we good with next summer's ferry schedule? I didn't.
Haven't even looked.
It's probably about the same as it was this year. I would hope, but I'll look at it. Any comments? None? Okay, ordinances, resolutions, substitute ordinance 1221. I'll waive the reading of all of that if I could do that. Can I do that?
I think.
If wants to make a motion, they can read it.
Well, I move, that we amend as suggested by the city attorney and staff as specified in the attached memo.
Well, hang on. Is that for that one?
Is that not 121?
Oh, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. You're right. So, you should put it on
Move the substitute
Move
ordinance
it
first before
first.
any amendment.
then move to amend it, yeah.
Yeah, so
Move to approve it first.
move to approve.
The move to approve, is there a second on substitute ordinance 1221, second reading.
Second,
Who was that online that made that second?
Kristen,
Okay. And moved by Zestro.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Zestro.
Yeah, also wanted to get it up for discussion with the board, but we spent a lot of time to work on this, discussing everything that's described in your under fund transactions and structured materials, tax gaps, and one of the things that we found during our discussions is the bit of confusion people have and having good examples when we go out to bring that to everybody's attention, that this would affect. Clearly tonight we had a participation that really would need more clarification on it. So looking forward to having those sessions to be able to provide that information to the public. But yeah, I think we're ready to move on.
Okay, did you want to make the amendment motion that you tried to do earlier?
Sure. So I move to amend as suggested by the city attorney and staff as specified in the attached memo.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Hey, Councilmember Zestro.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work and we're ready to put this in motion.
Councilmember Rainey on the amendment?
Trust the Lord.
Anybody have any objection to the amendment? Hearing none, then all those in favor of the amendment as presented by the attorney, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion
Opposed.
carries. Oh. One opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, back to the main motion. Lester? Or you already made your comment?
Yeah.
Kristen, Councilmember Smith?
I don't have anything to add. This is the second reading of the substitute ordinance and actually the third reading of of this whole process. So we've certainly covered it quite a bit and I'm in support of it.
Okay, Councilmember Rainey,
I'm supporting it. I have nothing new.
Councilmember Baylor,
I'm good.
Councilmember Jones,
Yeah, I won't be supporting this, but I don't really have anything I haven't said before.
Councilmember Sherman,
I'm in support.
Councilmember Kinsman.
Yep, I'll support it. Again, just as already been said, to reemphasize getting very good and clear communication out to the public. But I appreciate the efforts to really streamline this. So thank you. And I know it's not a small undertaking.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any last comments on this? Hearing none, then will the clerk call the roll, please?
Yes. So on the main motion that you had amended on substitute ordinance 1221 for adoption. Kristen Smith,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Wendy Rainey,
Yes.
Dave Zastro,
Yes.
Casey Kinsman,
Yes.
and Ken Jones.
No.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, thank you. That's done with that then. That's the final.
It's final.
Ordinance 1223, this is first reading. So it will come forward with a public hearing and a second reading. An ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, establishing economic development property tax exemptions related to commercial and residential developments in the city and setting forth criteria for such exemptions in a standardized application form.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve.
The second,
So it's just online.
okay. Councilmember Jones, do we want to hear from the attorney, I guess? Or do we need to?
I guess she can answer questions or she can give you a brief on it.
Okay, for information, the attorney is on the line if you have any questions for her, but Councilmember Jones, you're first up.
Yeah, this is something that I've been talking about for a few years, and I appreciate everybody's hard work getting to this point. I appreciate the attorneys putting so much time into this, and yeah, it's exactly what I was hoping to see us pass years ago, and hopefully this will help to spur some new development in town once passed. Thank you.
Hey, Councilmember Zastro.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great idea, a lot of good work, glad to see that we're moving this forward, reviewing the guidelines and criteria, that all look pretty clear and, easy to follow, so that's good to see.
Okay, Councilmember Kinsman.
Yeah, I really appreciate the input that council had on this getting put into that again, just going back to Councilmember Zastro's comment, just clear, it's easy to read, and it will be good to see again, probably some public communication on this. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
Yeah, same. I remember when Councilor Jones brought this all forward, and it's nice to see something start to happen and move forward. So I'm all in favor.
Thank you, Councilmember Sherman.
That was Sherman.
Oh, that was Sherman, sorry. But was it Councilmember Smith?
Thank you. Yeah, I just had one comment that I wanted to ask the attorney about. On page 46 in the packet under definitions, it says affordable units, and the qualifying phrase is currently rent affordable for families earning 80% of area median income. And I just wondered if that should read families earning up to 80%. I mean, sometimes there's a range like 80% to 120 or something like that. But yeah, so I was looking at the form, the definitions in the form that the city is.
Do you guys hear her? Because we can't hear Jess.
No, we're not hearing anything.
Okay.
But she hears us, so.
Do you hear us, Jess?
Yes, she is.
They're not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, sorry, I use Teams, not Zoom most of the time. Yes, I can make that clarifying edit. That is the intent, is that you're earning up to 80%.
Thank you.
There is one other item that council should consider that is left in here as an or under the single family residential. I went back and listened to our work session from the last time we had all met this summer. And we had basically, you guys had really drilled down and kind of nailed down these two different ways of valuing the single family residential exemption. And it was either tying it to the 150 on the first $150,000 of the assessed value and making it align with your senior exemption. That was one idea that council had. And the second one was just doing a flat 5-year exemption. In the first instance, the time period is longer, perhaps 8-year exemption if you're tying it to the $150,000, or it was a full 100% of the taxes owed on the assessed value for 5 years. And that one, you guys just left those two options out there and you didn't land which one in work session. So they're both in here so that the public's been noticed that both of these options, but I would urge council to make a decision on that and amend it so it's not confusing in the application to people applying.
Okay, thank you.
I read that as the applicant being able to choose, so I didn't realize that you were wanting council to choose.
Yeah, no, it was left as an either or. And Susan, I kind of, I don't know, I didn't play out in my head what the value would be of leaving the choice for the applicant. If there's value in leaving the choice, we could. It seems more confusing to me than anything else, but.
It was a lot of math. I did,
yeah.
Kevin and both said, well, I guess that we'll have to figure out which one's more cost effective over time and whatever. Yeah.
So we need to decide if we're gonna leave it a choice or if we're going to
I guess,
choose one of those.
I guess, yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So add that to your comments, council. Who was up? Smith, you got anything else?
I don't, thank you.
Councilmember Baylor?
Yeah, I don't support this at all, the way it's written. I totally disagree with giving somebody a tax incentive for a single family house. Nobody's explained that one to me. You know, so you're gonna have these, as we have happened before, we've got these businessmen, doctors, and other people coming into town building $600,000, $700,000 houses, and we're gonna give them a tax break. And then you've got the poor fellow who's working at the grocery store and their partner's working at the cannery and they're just working their tail off trying to make a better life for their kids. They're going to have to cover that loss of income while those people enjoy all the benefits that taxpayers pay. It's just not right. What about the person? I just looked at a house a few months ago for a couple here that work in town. They paid over $500,000 for that house. They don't get a tax break. So again, they're going to have to cover for these other people that come in and build new homes. I don't get it. This isn't going to spur anything because the reasons for housing production is not being done is one, we don't have a lot of builders in town anymore, and the property, and it's a slow process. It always has been. And I don't know, have you calculated how many years of payback is on this stuff? You give somebody 8 years of benefits like that, how many years does it take to make that up? Because I know some of you said, well, it's a future investment. Well, I don't support this at all, and I look forward to maybe get some of this information out to the public. So I don't think the public realizes what we're doing here. We're cutting school. We're talking about cutting school budgets. We're cutting workforce. We're doing all these budget cuts. We're not filling positions, and then we're going to turn around and give somebody a tax break. No, I don't support this at all. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Where's it going? Councilman Rainey?
I'm not going after that. I got nothing
Well, we could
for this
certainly,
round.
we could certainly limit it from the
I don't
$1 million
have anything for this round.
from the $1 million homes. Council could decide to limit it to that 150,000 or whatever the senior tax exemption is. Which, correct?
Yeah, I would say that might solve Councilmember Baylor's
that
issue a little bit,
part
if
of
you
that
just did the 150.
Then only,
It
you'd
would
only
be
get
way less of
150.
an effect on an affordable house. It will have much more of an effect on an affordable house versus $1 million home.
Right,
Sure.
so that's an option for council out there. Did everybody go?
I don't know. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, anybody wanna round two? Again,
Mr.
this
Mayor,
is-
I don't think
Yeah,
I
go
had
ahead.
round one.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I mean, I am in favor of it, but I would specifically like the amendment or the choice of the match with the senior citizen exemption. I think that does make more sense.
Was that an amendment that I heard?
I would support that as a friendly amendment to my motion.
Zastro, you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Is that just picking the first one of this?
so yes, they are amending it. Ken amended it and I think Kathy seconded it in my head. To make that first one on single family residential. The first one, not the 4.
The applicant does not get a choice.
Correct. To where it's an 8-year exemption on the first $150,000 of assessed value.
We need to vote on that separately.
Yes.
Okay, you ready to vote on that one? Okay, all in
I
favor?
got a question on that. So what
Go
is,
ahead.
so what is 8 year, 150,000? What kind of money are we talking here? What is it a year? What is it after 8 years? What are we giving away?
Depends on what the mill rate is.
Well,
At
current-
the 10 mill rate that we're at now, that's $1,500 a year. Approximately.
12,000.
12,000 on a house that's gonna be worth what? At least 350, 400, 500, up to $1 million. So we'll be collecting a lot on the rest of it.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a house built for 350, but okay.
Oh, well, then, like I'm saying, so 500 to 8.
Yeah, they're only gonna get the exemption on that first 150,000.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Yeah, I'm gonna oppose the whole thing.
Okay, well, this is just the amendment.
So
Yep.
6-1 on the amendment, okay?
Okay, anybody want round two? On the ordinance 1223 as amended? Okay, hearing none, then this is just a voice vote. So all those in favor of 1223 on first reading, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We will see that again in the future meeting. Ordinance 1224, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease with option to purchase with Paul and Linda Kelly doing business as Bayside Storage for property described as Lot 4A, Northville Development Park, Addition number 2. Again, this is first reading. It will come back again for public hearing and second reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Your second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, I think this just goes back to, trying to be supportive of development in our community. Here's a business that has tried to expand and develop something for years, and I appreciate them coming back despite what seems to be a little bit of an unsupportive tendency from the city. So I hope that this development can get off the ground. I don't really agree with the purchase price that the city's demanding, but unfortunately I missed that meeting. So yeah, I support this and would like to see it passed.
Okay, Councilmember Rainey.
Yep, I support it.
Councilmember Zastro.
Yes, I support it.
Councilmember Baylor.
I don't support it the way it's written. I support the sale of it, definitely, but I don't agree with the paying a $2,000 a month for lease payments. I think we should just sell this thing outright. I would prefer to do that because we have a project that we're going to use that money for. So what are we going to do in the meantime to move forward with that project? Unless the manager's got something else in mind, but I see we'd have to take a loan out from our permanent fund, finish the project, and then wait on this project to be done. No, just sell it to them outright and let's get the other project done. That's what I'd like to see.
Was that?
And I think, and it is, and I think the applicant actually told us that they were ready to come in and buy the lot. So I don't think I'm speaking out of turn on his behalf, but that would be my amendment to sell it directly.
Is there a second to Baylor's?
Can I just ask for clarification?
Yeah.
Are you, so when you say sell it outright, are you still meaning collect the money all up front as one lump sum, but then still have it a option to purchase once the building has been completed? So the deed wouldn't transfer until the completion of the structure.
No, I don't know. I'd like to collect the money all up front so we have it to redo our new impound lot. We don't have to get into our other funds. Keeping in mind, those should be all invested. So that costs us money if we have to do that. And then whatever range, he's going to build the project. I have no doubt in that. So I don't know what other wording you need other than that. I'd like to get the money up front and turn the property over to him.
Mayor Allison.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Is there a second on that first?
I have a question. Okay.
Did somebody second it?
Kristen.
Yeah, I did, Kristen.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Sherman, I think.
Yes, thank you. So I'm confused a little bit because when Mr. Kelly came and spoke with us, I thought he was going to be buying this land outright. I didn't remember anything other. Maybe I'm just not remembering correctly.
He requested to do that, but I've been following council's past direction and I guess what we're precedent where, the council has been consistently concerned about how we've been burnt in the past when we've sold property outright and people have not developed it. And so in not treating anybody unfairly in the process of how we are transferring property, I started out the lease as we do with all leases, where it's a lease with option to purchase. That is tied to the deed not being transferred until the substantial completion of the proposed structure.
Okay, so the amendment is to sell it outright. Any discussion on that? Baylor, you're up first.
Yeah, well, that was my suggestion, and keep in mind, this is kind of a different situation. No, we don't normally sell property and take those funds to develop another piece of property for a need for the city. So this is kind of an unusual circumstance here. The gentleman's development has proven track record, so I feel pretty confident. And like I say, if we don't, Now we gotta take money out of the permit fund or the general fund and finance this thing until we recoup all of our money, and that costs us money, at least 5%, the way things are going right now, so I think we should get it up front.
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand the interest in doing that. I don't have any reason to think that that Bayside Storage wouldn't move ahead with developing the lot. I was just trying to think about if whether there might be some other kind of safeguard that we could use. But I'm not coming up with anything, so because we need the money to do something else, I support selling the lot outright.
We used to do deeds of trust, but I don't know.
Yeah, performance deed of trust is an option. It doesn't tie the person to having to do the work though, because we're required to give them a financial out where we would get liquidated damages if they don't build the structures, so.
Yeah.
There is still potential where we sell the lot, transfer ownership into private hands, and then their development does not happen.
Right, but it also could happen, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, the liquidated damages cannot be excessive, there's laws about what they would look like too, we learned that.
Right,
in the past, So,
yeah.
I think it's like 30% or
I
something.
think that's why we went away from deeds of trust, is because by the time they had to pay those liquidated damages, their property value was now more than that fee was, so I think that's part of the reason we got away from that. Anyway,
And again, I have no reason to think that the applicant won't be doing this. I'm just treating this as we've treated all others, looking out for the best interest of the city.
Yeah.
Councilmember Sherman? On the amendment.
So, yes, I know. I'm trying to figure in my head what the cost comparison is between selling outright and the lease. I think the selling outright, we get more money. Am I not correct?
It would be the same amount of money either way. We would just be collecting the 120 up front instead of 2,000 a month, which over 5 years equals 120. And they have 5 years to complete the construction. But they could complete the construction sooner and then pay out the rest of the purchase price that they haven't, but towards it in lease payments. So we would still collect the same amount of money either way. It would just be tied to whenever they finish the building.
I would correct that statement. You wouldn't get the same amount, because if you get the money up front, it can go right into a money market fund till we need it, which is 5%. Otherwise, we're gonna borrow money, which costs us 5% to finish the project. That's the part that needs to be really thought about. That's why we need to do this.
Yeah, okay, we'll give you a second chance here in a minute. Kinsman?
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna lean on staff. I do support this. This was thank you, Councilmember Baylor. Yeah, thank you for that. Kevin, safeguards, what is, I know you were just following what present has been, so thank you. I appreciate that. Is that something that is an option to tie substantial completion to the deed, pay outright substantial completion to the deed as an option?
Yeah, we could do it either way. We could do a outright purchase where we do a performance deed of trust, which does have a tie to a completion of a structure, but then we are required to also offer the liquidated damages out, where if they don't construct it, then they have to pay us a certain amount. We can still also do a lease with option of purchase where they just pay the money up front, but we don't transfer the deed until they complete the construction. So I mean, we could still go with the original option. If the applicant's willing to do that, that would have to be, I'd have to go back to negotiations with them and see if they're comfortable with paying up front, not receiving the deed at that time until they complete the construction, but we could offer that as an option.
Okay, I would.
Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I would be, I mean, I'd be in favor of that. It sounds like a compromise on risk, but obviously if the purchaser isn't interested in that, then I mean, I think we could still just sell it out given the track record, but yep.
Councilmember Jones?
Yeah, I would support selling it outright. I think that doing the lease with all the money up front and then still hold title for 5 years is asinine proposal. You know, if you're gonna make somebody pay for it up front, you should give them the title. I don't have any problem with this developer's track record. I think that this whole process has been rather cumbersome and frustrating for any prospective developer watching. It's deterrent to any future development. So I would like to see this closed and get this property over to this developer. I disagree with the $120,000 price. That's over double square foot what we just sold a lot just in the same block less than 5 years ago for. So I think that's rather high price. Unfortunately, I missed the meeting where we discussed that. But yeah, I'm in favor of selling it outright if the applicant wants to do that.
Okay, thank you. Who's left? Councilmember Rainey, did you speak on this?
I'm in favor of selling it outright because we need the money to move forward with the impound lot. So I'd rather see us use that money for the impound lot, which is what we put it out for, than to have to borrow money for that.
Councilmember Zastro on the amendment.
On the amendment, yeah, I really appreciate the consistency as Councilmember Kinsman just responded to, because I think that's something Councilmember Jones has actually brought up multiple times, that we need to be consistent in the way we dispose of land. So I really appreciate that. I also recognize that everybody does. This purchaser or a leaser is definitely a reliable person that would very likely build. I do like the idea that some kind of safeguard in place, so no matter who it is, and again, for consistency's sake. So I'm not sure. The idea that you put forward with putting money up front until a substantial amount of the project is completed, and then turning over the deed seems like a reasonable kind of halfway point between what is originally proposed and outright selling it.
Okay, so the current motion is to sell it outright. Is that correct?
I don't know, did Tom, when he,
No, I think that was our amendment.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The amendment, that's what I mean. The amendment was to
sell it
change
outright,
it to sell it outright. Did your amendment include any?
but he said a performance deed of trust, right, Tom? Is that?
No, I just said sell it outright. I have total faith in this project and
So sell it outright, I just want to define that so it's very clear. So sell it outright means that he pays the money, we give him the deed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
right,
That's.
right.
Okay.
That's his
Yes.
motion.
It's
Yeah.
standard.
Anybody I missed? Anybody wanna speak again on the amendment? Then all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, back to the main motion, which is now changed to a purchase of this property. Anybody, where were we at on the comments?
I don't even know who seconded the motion, do I?
John's
The amendment?
seconded Rainey
Oh,
on the main motion. Did you
right,
get to
who
speak
did,
on
who
it?
did the amendment?
I thought
Tom
I
did
did,
the amendment.
I
I
thought I
know.
did the amendment, not the name.
Oh, I had
I think
Smith
I think I
amendment.
seconded the original.
Okay, it's
Kristen
not
did
backwards.
the original, and I
Okay.
did the amendment.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so we're back to the regular. Said I'm written backwards here. Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, I support selling it to him. Like I've said already, I don't really agree with the 120,000 price that we're insisting, just because of the square footage price is over double what the surrounding properties have sold for recently. But I'm good with it because we need the money for the impound lot, I guess. But I'm not sure if the applicant will pay this much or not. But I guess we'll see.
Councilmember Smith.
I support the motion and, yeah, I mean, we're asking the buyer to the buyer expressed interest in purchasing the lot, and we're selling the lot for the price that was originally proposed. And I think it's fair market value. So yeah, I support it. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Zestra,
Yeah, I support it.
Councilmember Kinsman,
Yeah, I support it as amended. Yeah, thanks for the input on that.
Councilmember Sherman,
Support is amended.
Councilmember Baylor,
Yeah, I support it.
did I miss anybody?
Me,
Oh, Councilmember Ray.
yeah, I support it.
And
I used to have a little chart here that I could keep track
I'm
of.
sitting right
this
next
will
to
come
you.
back for another first reading, I mean,
Right,
it's substantial
right,
change.
yeah, I hear you.
That blue area, you stand out.
I know, it's not like you can't see me.
I'll make you another form.
Okay, did we vote yet? No. All those in favor of ordinance 1224 as amended? So this is first reading. We will come back again with another first reading because it was,
Yeah, the whole wording of the title and everything
Yeah.
has changed,
Yeah.
so yeah. Pretty significant.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I don't wanna drag this out any longer than it needs to be drug out, but if we could do this sooner than later, we've already been a year and some odd months into it.
Try, but in the middle of things.
Resolution 11/24/34. A resolution of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska in support of Alaska's salmon hatchery program in opposition to proposal 78, which was brought before the Alaska Board of Fisheries at the December 10th through 16th, 2024 meeting. The motion?
Rachel Plander brought this to me and said she had Councilmember Jones's support on this.
Yeah, I was waiting on
Yeah.
Maybe okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for the button. I was going back and reading the packet. Takes a second on the phone. So,
I'll second.
yeah, I would like to make the motion.
I figured.
Okay, Councilmember Jones?
Yeah, I support this. Sorry, it just takes a bit to flip back and forth on my phone between the meeting and the packet, so I'm still looking for it. But yeah, we have a Board of Fish meeting coming in December, and there is a couple of proposals that would be catastrophic to our hatchery program. And you know, if this can help, this will be entered in as on-time public comment for the meeting. And yeah, all the whereases seem good to me. So yeah, I support this and hope you all will too.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Rainey.
Yeah, I don't support a reduction in pink and chum, so I would support this proposal, resolution. I think the hatcheries are important to the fishery, so I support it.
Thank you, Councilmember Zastro.
Yeah, I concur with what you're gonna say.
Councilmember Sherman,
Yes, I'm in support.
Councilmember Baylor,
I support. I just got a question on the key concerns there. That first statement says economic impact hatcheries contribute approximately 200 million annually income output to the Prince William Sound communities. That seems a little bit limiting, doesn't it? I thought, wasn't there maybe there's not. I thought we had one up in Anchorage that was also processing. Just a thought. It seems like you're limiting just to Prince William Sound. I think this has economic impacts in Anchorage too. Or maybe, Ken, you would know. I don't know. That was just my thought.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if anybody's processing in Anchorage anymore. But yeah, that is a pretty good point that the economic impacts of this would cascade through multiple more communities than just the Prince William Sound communities.
Oh, that might be a change worth suggesting. It's
That's in her letter.
Is it in the resolution or is it in the memo?
It's in the memo.
Yeah.
It's on page.
Yeah, I saw it. Is there a suggested amendment on the resolution?
Tom, did you see that in the resolution anywhere? I just saw that in her memo, that specific mention of economic.
No, that's where I read it in page 80 there. You know, again, this is kind of, I'm out of my lane here a little bit, but that, I just read that key concern and I thought, well, I would
Yeah,
expand that out, so.
Yeah, in the amendment, it doesn't specify just 1%.
In the.
In the resolution.
Oh, right.
So whereas on the bottom of page 82, it says. Contributes significantly to the economies of Prince William Sound communities by creating jobs. And
Yeah.
generating estimated 200 million in combined economic output and. But it's not quite as specific.
Right.
Now, just a thought. So, like I
Yeah.
say, it's out of my lane here.
I think you covered it, and I think pretty sure the Board of Fish knows that all of this fisheries affects the whole state, so. Who else we got? Kinsman?
Yeah, I'll support it. Thanks for the input from, I'll say, subject matter experts.
Did we get everybody, Sherman? Did I get you?
Yep.
Okay. We got everybody. Anybody want a second round? Hearing none, then this is one reading on a resolution, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I didn't get to the button in time, but I wanted to vote yes.
Okay,
Gotcha.
thank you, Ken. No unfinished business, no miscellaneous business, any agenda? Sarah?
Did I say? I don't was anything in that stuff, yeah. On the calendars, I have the planning commission wrong. I think I sent you guys an email today that Kevin, when he advertises that. Planning commission will meet, 1 week later than normal in November. So on the 19th, which of course I put incorrectly on the calendar as the 5th, that was wrong. It was supposed to be the 12th, it's the 19th. I will also add the fisheries commission. You know, figuring out on pending agenda, hopefully, you know, maybe January, February, we'll do some of that. Otherwise, we'll have, you know, all the stuff from tonight, you know, what's coming next time, yeah. Hopefully, we can get ordinance 1224, a substitute. Fixed in time for the 20th. And then the second reading on 1223, we'll make that amendment on the single family or the residential development to be that first and get rid of that other part.
Then the sale,
Um,
then the sale. property.
Well, that's the one I'm saying, I hope we can get to fix done before, we probably should. I don't know, that's all I have.
We have anything they need on our agenda?
Just, Mr. Mayor, going to, I guess, Sam's point, the city manager's point of cash flow, and then also that was brought up of separating out accounts, whatever that technically looks like for enterprise funds. Does that need to be on a pending agenda? Have conversation, get some input, give some direction to staff, maybe even some more understanding of our cash flow actual needs.
Well, I think we've been over the cash flow of actual needs pretty in depth. The whole process, if I'm understanding correctly, of having separate accounts for enterprise and those kinds of things, yeah, we can't take that up anytime soon. If you would like to put it on the agenda, it's gonna be.
Well, I think you'll report back to us after you talk to Blake about it, yeah? I mean, I think it's just you figuring it out with finance department and, no?
I don't know, like Blake, why is Blake in?
Well, who's Blake? I was thinking
He's the
of,
perfect fun guy.
oh, he's he's not our financial advisor type guy? No, but then it's one of your guys that helps with.
Yeah, but it's not gonna happen between now and December 4th. Can I just say that?
Well,
Yeah.
and there's a cash flow
Well,
issue. So
okay,
there's
well,
money coming into the funds, into those extra funds. There's not any money to put aside.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
I mean, there's not a reason for a separate account right now because there's no money to be put aside in a separate account.
Yeah, I think that my first task is to get that ordinance. Just taking care of the 3.9 or 2.9, wherever we end up with that. And then we can move into this discussion about accounting.
okay.
Okay.
But correct me, this is pending agenda section, correct? So this would be the point where I'd say, can we get this on pending agenda to have a conversation on at a future date, separating out, doing some. Yes, I understand, and I have no intention that this would happen. And I'm not trying to put this on staff at all to happen before December 4th. I understand that. But my understanding of pending agenda is, hey, let's look to the future of. This sounds like this was brought up enough tonight as a need of us tracking these enterprise funds separately.
Yeah, we can just put on the pending agenda as an item. A discussion on enterprise fund accounting.
And I only brought up the cash flow issue because that was brought up and tied to the enterprise funds of, well, we can't break it up because we use that money to pay our monthly bills. And so there's some planning and some strategic planning that needs to happen around that so that we're safeguarding the city and their funds and separating out the enterprise.
Yeah,
Again, I'm only one person, so if no one else wants to put this on
Sam's
pending
working
agenda,
on
that's fine.
Sam's working on an ordinance to,
For the cash flow.
for the cash flow, the immediate cash flow. These are well, the next year's cash flow needs, I guess, is where it's at, so.
And then we can have a discussion on the other in the future, so yes.
Enterprise fund accounting.
Yeah, put it on.
Future agenda.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question mark on next budget work session. It is next Wednesday. At
I think we should do that.
13.
Yeah, make those changes that we talked about tonight and we'll see where we're at.
And will we
Go from
bring
there.
fee schedule too?
Maybe. I think
we're
so.
back at
I
5
think we
again
have to.
for work session 5.
Well, we could do, we've been doing 6.
It's on the
six.
13th,
There's
so
no
we can
council
do
meeting.
6. There's no
Okay.
council meeting, so we could go 6 to 8. I gotta. Think we have this place lined out, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we could do upstairs again.
Yeah, if we had to. November 13th, 6 p.m.
Historic Society's upstairs.
Budget work
5:30,
session.
right?
We've been bumped to the, Bears conference room plenty of times. We're smaller, so it works out really well. You can always pick us out of a different room.
I'll be there at 5:30.
I'm
5:30.
Okay,
Okay, and we need some volunteers to serve on our commissions. Keep that in mind. When are we supposed to appoint those? Next meeting?
I think on December.
Okay, December, yeah.
Isn't it November?
If they
Well, the
expire at the
terms
end of
expire in
November, so I
November.
try and get them appointed by the 1st December meeting.
So let's get some names in.
Is that what I put?
Yeah, deadline to apply is November 26th.
So that I can do, give something.
Okay, anything else? Okay, audience participation, anything you wanna talk to us about? Come on up, name, address, what you wanna talk about?
Hey, guys. Hello, Kathy Renfeld for the Chamber of Commerce, 404 First Street, Cordova. And I want to talk to you guys about the investments that you're making.
And investing in the Chamber of Commerce has actually been one of the most financially sound decisions that the city council has ever made. Especially as we face a big budget deficit, and so I wanna just share a couple numbers with you guys so that you can have a full understanding before you make any cuts. So direct revenue contributions to the city from the chamber's efforts. The chamber drives sales tax revenues for the city. In fact, just 2 of our events that we host throughout the year, we have been able to directly track at least $250,000 of revenue that's brought into the city of the community through just Funnies Festival and Shoulder Festival in 1 year. And our Shop Cordova First campaign, the hometown holiday kickoff, and Moonlight Madness, the support that we give to artisan events like the Holiday Bazaar and Saturday Market, all of these, they're valued and important for local business. They see how these efforts impact their sales numbers, and the city should care about them too, because they impact your sales tax numbers as well, which is the #1 piece of your revenue that you bring in. Without these events, the city's sales tax for 2024 would look much different than it looks right now. And I'm not even talking about the other efforts that we've been doing. The chamber's targeted efforts to attract and support visitors and conference and meeting guests. That is projected to bring in an additional $1.1 million in revenue over the next 2 years for the city, if we're able to continue the work that we're doing. Cutting funding to the chamber right now would jeopardize these visitor-driven revenues for 2025 and beyond. And by doubling the port fee, you guys show that you know that there is potential revenue source for the city here, the visitors. And the accommodation tax as well. There's a potential there to increase your revenue, especially if you look at that, at adjusting that fee. The city's annual contribution to the chamber is it's something that has really provided a necessary support to the chamber in our efforts. And it's easy to forget that the city actually initiated that arrangement with the chamber in order to fulfill a crucial and necessary role to develop and manage Cordova's dessert industry. And just last year, City Council, knowing its limitations in staff capacity, further enlisted the help of the chamber to market its own facility. So the chamber is actually succeeding in both these areas and driving revenue for the city. So why jeopardize this profitable partnership due to unrelated problems with other revenues that the city's facing? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I think to a lot of other people in the community. And I understand that it is a very difficult position that you guys are in, and I do not envy any of you. But the chamber is the entity in Cordova that is focused on building complementary revenue sources and diversifying Cordova's economy to be able to provide resilience and protection from years just like this one. These years, they come every once in a while. And there's an organization in town who is their whole focus is to try to help support the small businesses here and help drive other revenue streams and help support the commercial fishing industries through these complementary industries to try to help us weather these storms. And we're here and we're performing well. And it's because we have had your sound and consistent backing. And to take away that backing now would really put the chamber in a difficult position, and it would halt a lot of the progress that we've made. And we are in a position where we really need to be looking forward to what's coming towards us in the future. As I mentioned before, sales tax revenue is the largest revenue source for the city, and the chamber plays a vital role in driving that income. And we also, through the events that we do, we help to maintain this feeling of community cohesion and sense of loyalty to the community and quality of life that helps keep people here so that we can maintain a healthy property tax base as well. When we come across hard times like this, we're always going to be battling out migration. And if we're going to add to that, the fact that they're gonna be looking at less opportunities to celebrate and less opportunities to feel connected to their community through events because the chamber can't do them anymore, then that's really gonna make dark times darker over the next couple of years, few months, years, however long it lasts. And really, scaling back support would have an immediate impact on the chamber's ability to also attract visitors to Cordova to help us increase that sales tax revenue, increase the revenue being brought into the city. And we don't need any more shuttered businesses on Main Street or any street in Cordova. And the chamber is the one trying to help make sure that doesn't happen and to help support these businesses. So in closing, I'll just say that as city council members, I really respect the position that you're in and I appreciate the work that you're doing. In your role, I hope that you feel this way, because I certainly do, that your role extends beyond simply balancing the budget. Your role is to drive progress, to build resilience, and to secure Cordova's future. And in these challenging financial times, the path to a balanced budget is really tempting, but cutting support to programs that are gonna help carry you through the tough times is gonna be a mistake. There are unforeseen circumstances and unforeseen consequences to some of the decisions that you might be making. And I hope that you can support the chamber because we're not just a line item. It's a strategic investment in the community's stability, economy, and spirit. And I do agree, the chamber has been too dependent upon the city's funding over the past lifetime. And we have made significant efforts and significant headway in gaining independence from that. We have increased our membership revenue over 100% in the last couple of years. We have created a fundraising event that is now going to happen next week at the Cordova Center here. I hope you can make it. It's called the Cordova Business Gala. And this is a fundraising event for the chamber where we also get to celebrate our local business community. We're also looking at alternative revenue sources that would be, I think, a beneficial way to utilize the space that we're currently in, if we can stay in that space. Including creating, turning part of that space into a co-working space so that businesses and people that are coming through can have that space and also have some arts and consignment space in there. So we are trying to make ourselves more financially independent, and I would love to, instead of talking about making big, huge cuts that could have really big consequences, I'd love to talk to you guys about contributing towards our lease or some other form of supporting the chamber. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are those notes that you could give us or?
Yeah. I can send you guys a copy if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, send it to the clerk and she'll get it to us.
Okay.
You went through a lot of things there,
Thanks.
especially your ideas for additional revenue.
Yeah, and I did also mention, we're also working on forming a 501c3 foundation under the umbrella of our 501c6 so that we can apply for more grants.
Okay, good, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Kathy? I guess this is comments, so,
Okay, well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time and thank you for all your efforts.
yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Comments on anything you wanna talk about? Okay, we'll go to council comments then. We'll start online, Councilmember Kinsman.
Yeah, thanks for all the work tonight. Thanks for staff putting together. It's a special call out because I had noticed and seen it before I left town. Just staff's diligent efforts in cleaning up derelict vehicles, and it is amazing. It doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for that. I know it's not a small undertaking. So that's what I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Sherman.
Sure. Excuse me. I'll just follow up on that. I was going to comment on the North Harbor parking lot. That is just an amazing feat of work, and I love the idea that it's blocked off to keep it in good shape until the summer season. So kudos to everybody who worked on that. It was really well done. And that's about all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Baylor.
Yeah, I'd echo those comments and thanks to staff working on this budget. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, it took me a minute to find the button again. Yeah, I'm excited about the property tax incentives moving forward. That's something I've been wanting to get done for a long time, and I hope that it helps to spur some new construction in town. Yeah, appreciate all the staff's work on the budget, and appreciate everything that the chamber does. Thanks, Kathy, for the testimony there.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to just say thanks to everyone who brought suggestions to the table for the budget. That was a great discussion, and yeah, and I appreciate staff's work on this. It feels like a good process and we're making some progress, and I feel like everybody's working together. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rainey.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Kathy for her enthusiasm and information. And let her know that although I push to limit that in the budget, it does not, goes without saying that I appreciate the work the chamber does. I also appreciate Kevin and all the work that he does with the paperwork and being consistent. That's really important for us moving forward. And I appreciate that effort, even though we change it. I do appreciate it. And just in general to staff. Pretty quiet table though, guys. Where the heck are you?
Councilmember Zastro.
Just echo everybody else's comments and especially with staff and all the information they provided us going back and with direction coming back with all kinds of great ideas and as well as I think we had a really good work session. Again, lots of good ideas. I also appreciate Kathy coming forward with all that detailed information. I certainly appreciate all the work she's been doing in our community too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council does have one quick executive session. Well, I don't know. Shouldn't say quick, should I? Yeah. One executive session. Somebody want to make that motion? It's item 15 on our agenda.
Where is it here? I move to go into executive session. I'm trying to read it. I don't have my glasses on. Dave, can you read it?
Print, I know,
I can't see it.
Executive session to discuss recommendation from city manager regarding CEC and disposal negotiations, a subject which is a matter of immediate knowledge, which would clearly have an adverse effect on the finances of the government. There motion to that?
I move.
So moved, yeah. Well, I'll second.
You second.
Moved it.
Okay.
I was looking at the little
All
stuff.
those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna take a couple minutes to clear the room and stop the YouTube and all of that stuff, so we'll be right back. Same line for the council members, just stay on.